Chapter 847. I'll change it immediately. Brothers, please forgive me. Two idiots. After circling around a few times, Yihao realized that the two people behind him realized that he was fooling them. He could not help but laugh disdainfully. Let's go out of the city, Yihao said to the black wind leopard. This lad is finally leaving the city. The two of them watched as Yihao walked out of the city. They could not help but rejoice in their hearts. We'll take action after we leave the city. When the two of them realized that Yihao was fooling them, they were furious and wanted to attack him. However, when they saw that Yihao was about to leave the city, they could not help but suppress the urge to leave the city. The two of them followed closely behind Yihao, afraid that Yihao would do something else. How is it? The two of you must be impatient after following me for so long. After leaving Tianyuan City, Yihao suddenly turned around and said to the two of them, Lad, are you really not afraid of death? The two of them were not surprised when they saw Yihao suddenly stop. However, when they saw Yihao's calm expression, they could not help but look at Yihao warily. Let me give you a gift for our first meeting. Yihao threw the 2 spirit coins in his hand to the 2 demon sovereigns. Spirit coins. When the two of them saw that Yihao had thrown them spirit coins, they could not understand what Yihao was up to. The two of them looked at the spirit coins warily and immediately dodged them. Clang! The spirit coins fell to the ground with a crisp sound. The two of them stared at the spirit coins, but nothing happened to them. Lad, how dare you fool us? The 2 demon sovereigns were furious and were about to attack Yihao. Kill this lad and report back. All right. The 2 demon sovereigns had a simple conversation before they attacked Yihao. Seeing the two of them charging at him, Yihao did not dare to fight back. After all, he was very clear about his own strength. He was definitely a match for the 2 demon sovereigns. Yihao took a step back and threw out a handful of spirit coins. However, this time, the two of them did not care about the spirit coins at all. They directly charged forward and attacked Yihao. Yihao was overjoyed when he saw their actions, but his body still retreated immediately. You dog, you won't be able to escape. Seeing Yihao retreat, a demon supremacy sneered proudly. Because just by looking at Yihao's speed, they knew that he was no match for them. Rumble. Just as the two of them were about to kill Yihao with a single blow, the spirit coins that Yihao had thrown out suddenly exploded. Bang! Bang! Puff! The two of them turned into 2 afterimages and flew out. Their bodies were torn apart, and blood gushed out of their mouths. At this moment, both of their eyes were filled with shock and confusion. They did not understand why the spirit coins would suddenly explode. Then, the two of them looked at Yihao as if they had seen a ghost. Could it be that you did something? Haha, it's too late for you to know now. Seeing that the two of them had completely lost their fighting strength, Yihao could not help but laugh. Tell me, who sent you? Although Yihao had guessed that the two of them were most likely sent by the second princess, he still asked. If you want to know, there's no way. The two of them could not help but look determined. If you don't want to say, then die. Yihao punched out with both fists and instantly shattered their heads. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a rank 3 demon supremacy warrior. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 70,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a rank 3 demon supremacy warrior. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 70,000 experience points. After Yihao finished killing the two of them, he immediately jumped onto the black wind leopard and continued to head towards the Emperor's fallen demon forest. As for the 2 corpses, that was none of his business. In this wilderness, they would probably become food for the demonic beasts before they could be used. Strange, why haven't those 2 people returned yet? The second princess could be said to have a sleepless night. It was almost dawn, and the second princess had not fallen asleep yet. Not good, princess. At this moment, the second princess's personal guard suddenly walked in. Seeing that the guard's expression was not good, the second princess could not help but frown and ask, What's wrong? Second princess, the people we sent out were killed. The guard hurriedly finished, but did not dare to look directly into the second princess's eyes. What did you say? Bang! Hearing the guard's words, the second princess immediately shouted angrily. She directly slammed her palm on the table beside her, and the heavy table instantly shattered into pieces. Anger is harmful to the body. Second princess, please calm down. Seeing that the second princess was angry, the guard hurriedly advised. Those were two demon supremacies. Why couldn't they kill that brat? Instead, the two of them were killed. The second princess was still unwilling to believe it. With the strength of two demon supremacies, they actually could not kill Yi Hao and even lost their lives. Princess, I suspect that there should be someone secretly protecting that brat. The guard analyzed. Hearing the guard analysis, the second princess also nodded her head in agreement. After all, she still did not believe that Yi Hao could kill two demon supremacies. Send someone to continue investigating that brat's identity and his goal. I want to see what that brat wants to do. The second princess continued to order the guard. This journey is really far. Yi Hao sat on the black-winged leopard and rushed for nearly 3 days to reach the emperor's fallen devil forest. Yi Hao could not help but murmur. One had to know that if he were to walk such a long distance alone, he would probably be exhausted to death. Fortunately, the black-winged leopard had been around for these 3 days, reducing his burden by quite a bit. Yi Hao's first goal was not to directly enter the emperor's fallen devil forest, but to first go to a small town in the periphery of the emperor's fallen devil forest. This small town was called Clearwater Town, and it was a famous town in the periphery of the emperor's fallen devil forest. The town was full of mercenaries. These mercenaries would usually accept missions in order to obtain some rewards. Of course, there were even more people who would enter the emperor's fallen devil forest when they had nothing to do and hunt magical beasts to make a living. And even more people entered the emperor's fallen devil forest to seek opportunities to soar to the heavens. After all, everyone knew that not only was there danger in the emperor's fallen devil forest, there were also abundant resources. As for whether or not one could obtain those abundant resources, it completely depended on one's luck. If one accidentally discovered a powerhouse's cave abode or a powerhouse's cultivation area, that would really soar to the heavens. Therefore, even though the emperor's fallen devil forest was filled with countless dangers, there were still people who entered without fear of death. And this Clearwater Town was the supply station for these people. In Qingshui Town, every martial artist could buy some medicinal pills or weapons that they needed, and many mercenaries lived on the tip of a blade every day. Therefore, if they were not careful, they might die in the emperor's fallen devil forest. Chapter 848. I don't know the rules, but if you dare to talk nonsense again, I'll let you know my rules. Yi Hao looked at Tai Lang and said coldly, "Oh my God, this kid has guts. He dares to talk to Tai Lang like that. This kid is finished." But this kid seems to be fearless. When the crowd heard Yi Hao's words, they were all shocked. "Good kid, you're courting death." When Tai Lang heard Yi Hao's reply, he was instantly enraged. He swung his fist with a strong force towards Yi Hao's face. Seeing Tai Lang rushing over, the maid's face turned pale. She obviously did not expect Tai Lang to really attack. "Get out of here." Seeing Tai Lang rushing over, Yi Hao's face was full of disdain. He reached out and grabbed Tai Lang's arm. Crack! With a crack, Tai Lang's arm was broken. Tai Lang immediately cried out in pain. Then, Yi Hao threw Tai Lang's body out like a sandbag. Yi Hao threw him out. At this moment, everyone was looking at Yi Hao with eyes filled with respect. They did not expect Tai Lang to be thrown out so easily. So strong. I didn't even see clearly and Tai Lang was thrown out. You really can't judge a book by its cover. This lord is really strong. I didn't expect Tai Lang to kick an iron plate today. This is really satisfying. I didn't expect Tai Lang to have such a day. At this moment, everyone was looking at Yi Hao and exclaiming in surprise. Serve the food. Yi Hao did not care about the crowd, nor did he care about Tai Lang. Instead, he said to the maid who was looking at him with eyes full of admiration. The maid quickly regained her senses and looked at Yi Hao. She asked, "May I know what young master wants? Bring out the best wine and dishes in your restaurant." Yi Hao said to the maid, "Young master, there's no problem with the dishes but the wine." The maid looked troubled. "What's wrong with the wine?" Yi Hao asked curiously when he saw the maid's hesitation. Actually, he could have gone to drink ergo too, but he wanted to try out the specialty of this place. After all, this was just a small town. This wasn't an ordinary small town. One had to know that this was a small town right next to the Emperor Fall Devil Forest. The people who lived in this town were all quite powerful. After all, there were quite a number of Demon Emperor-level magical beasts in the outer regions of the Emperor Fall Devil Forest. And these people were able to rely on the Emperor Fall Devil Forest to live, so how could their strength be too weak? Just like Tai Lang from before. Although he had easily defeated Tai Lang's strength was actually not too weak. Tai Lang's strength had also reached the third order Devil Emperor realm. In terms of cultivation level, Tai Lang was 2 levels higher than him, but his strength was not as good as his. The most expensive wine in our restaurant is the Emperor Intoxication. The maid looked at Yi Hao's puzzled face and said, "Emperor Intoxication. What does this name mean?" Yi Hao couldn't help but feel even more curious when he heard the maid's words. Emperor Intoxication, the wine is like its name. In other words, Demon Emperor level powerhouses will get drunk and die here after drinking this wine. The maid continued to explain. However, there are many benefits to drinking this Emperor Intoxication. Most importantly, it can increase a cultivator's cultivation and strengthen a cultivator's physique. However, as long as one drinks the Emperor Intoxication, 1 cup can make one drunk for 10 days to half a month. And the lower the cultivation, the longer the drunkenness. In the past, there was a demon king who showed off his ability and drank a cup of the Emperor Intoxication. He was drunk for 3 years before waking up. However, after this person woke up, his cultivation actually broke through to the Demon Emperor realm. The maid looked at Yi Hao and slowly explained the power of the Emperor Intoxication. Everyone also pricked up their ears and listened to the maid's explanation. However, no one dared to question the maid. This was because most of them had lived in Qingshui town for a long time. However, they had long heard of the Emperor Intoxication. However, they basically didn't dare to try it. The price of the Emperor Intoxication was simply too expensive. 1 cup cost 1,000 low-grade spirit stones, which was almost half a year's income. This was also because they lived in Qingshui town, which was close to the Emperor Fallen Demon Forest and had a high income. If they lived elsewhere, they wouldn't be able to earn money for half a year. 1,000 low-grade spirit coins. Most of the spirit coins they obtained were used for their living and cultivation. How could they bear to drink such expensive wine? Rather than buying such expensive wine, they might as well buy some pills. In times of crisis, they would have some protection for their lives. Moreover, the after effects of the Emperor Intoxication were indeed something that they didn't dare to underestimate. After all, drinking a cup would make one drunk for 10 days to half a month. It was simply too much of a delay. Therefore, in this tavern, if someone wanted to drink the Emperor Intoxication, it would definitely cause a huge uproar and attract everyone's attention. As for Yi Hao, he was very interested in the Emperor Intoxication. He said to the maid, "Give me a pot of this Emperor Intoxication." "What? A pot?" When a maid heard Yi Hao's words, she was instantly stunned. She originally thought that after introducing the power of the Emperor Intoxication, Yi Hao would give up on the Emperor Intoxication. This was because she felt that Yi Hao wasn't bad, so she didn't want Yi Hao to make a fool of himself in front of everyone. However, Yi Hao directly ordered a pot of the Emperor Intoxication. These words immediately caused a huge uproar. Many people began to look at Yi Hao mockingly. This kid is simply too arrogant. Looking at his appearance, I reckon that 1 cup is enough for him to suffer. He actually dares to ask for a pot. I reckon that this kid will die from drunkenness after drinking a cup. Sigh, a newborn calf is truly not afraid of tiger. When the time comes, he will know his mistake. Give me a pot. Yi Hao nodded and ignored the gazes from all around. Young master, why don't you ask for a cup first and try it? Clearly, the maid didn't think highly of Yi Hao. The maid was afraid that Yi Hao would ask for a pot. When the time came, Yi Hao wouldn't be able to drink it, and it would be a waste. Moreover, she didn't believe that Yi Hao wouldn't get drunk after drinking the Emperor Intoxication. After all, for so long, No one had ever drunk the emperor intoxication and not gotten drunk. After all, that was a wine that could make a demon emperor drunk. The maid didn't believe that Yi Hao could have the cultivation of a demon emperor, so she kindly advised him. It's fine. I'll just have a pot. Yi Hao could also see that the maid was being kind, but he still waved his hand and said, All right then. Seeing that Yi Hao's attitude was so unyielding, the maid had no choice but to shake her head helplessly. She didn't expect that Yi Hao wouldn't listen to her advice. She seemed to have already seen the scene of Yi Hao dying from drunkenness. Little brother, good job. It's been a long time since anyone dared to drink the emperor intoxication. I've heard that the emperor intoxication is powerful before. Today, we can finally broaden our horizons. Chapter 849. Although everyone was hooting, it wasn't hard to tell that these people were actually waiting to see Yi Hao make a fool of himself. Who is it? How dare you ask for a pot of emperor's drunken wine? At this moment, a pleasant voice suddenly came from upstairs. A woman came down directly from upstairs. She was draped in a light blue veil. She bent her slender waist and walked with small steps. Her eyes were clear and bright, and her every frown and smile was soul-stirring. This person was filled with the mature charm of a woman. Her every move could arouse a man's desire. The appearance of this woman immediately attracted the attention of everyone present. In an instant, everyone held their breaths and looked at the person with burning gazes. If one listened carefully, one could even hear the sound of many people swallowing their saliva. If anyone dares to look around again, I'll gouge out his dog eyes. Who knew that the woman's valiant voice would suddenly ring out? Hearing the woman's valiant voice, everyone immediately shifted their gazes. This was because in Qingshui town, this person was definitely a charming flower that hooked people's souls. Although the flower was beautiful and alluring, it had poisonous thorns. One could only admire it but not touch it. In the past, there were many people who coveted Bai Mutin's beauty, but no one did it. It was so scary. All of them died suddenly and violently on the streets. Although no one could prove that it was Bai Mutin who did it, as long as one wasn't a fool, one could guess. Therefore, from then on, no one dared to provoke Bai Mutin in Qingshui town. However, this still couldn't change. Every time Bai Mutin appeared, she would attract the attention of all the men. She's indeed a stunner. Yi Hao is also experienced and knowledgeable. Therefore, when he looked at Bai Mutin, he was purely admiring her. Looking at Bai Mutin, he wasn't different from other people. Unlike the others, whose eyes were filled with greed, Yi Zichen didn't dare to say anything. It seems that this young master wants the emperor's intoxicated wine. Bai Mutin looked all around, and in the end, her gaze stopped on Yi Hao's body. Bai Mutin smiled charmingly, then swayed her hips and walked to Yi Hao's side. At this moment, everyone's gazes were simultaneously sneaking glances at Bai Mutin. However, these people did not dare to openly stare at Bai Mutin. Clearly, Bai Mutin's words had worked. As for Bai Mutin, she was not surprised. She herself knew what these people were thinking in their hearts. However, she could not forcefully change these people's minds. Moreover, every time she appeared, she would become the center of attention. Every man wanted to take her for themselves. She was already used to it. But this time, to her surprise, when she looked into Yi Hao's eyes, she realized that there was no greed in Yi Hao's eyes. As for Yi Hao, there was a hint of admiration in his eyes as he looked at her. Then he looked away. At this moment, Bai Mutin couldn't help but feel a little interested in Yi Hao. Young master, do you not know the power of the emperor's drunken wine in our shop? Bai Mutin's slender hands placed a pot of wine in front of Yi Hao. If you don't have anything else, don't disturb me while I'm drinking. From the moment Bai Mutin appeared, Yi Hao felt that Bai Mutin was not a simple person. Therefore, he did not want to interact too much with her. After all, interacting with this kind of woman might bring him trouble. Bai Mutin heard Yi Hao's words and thought that she had heard wrongly. This was the first time that she was not welcomed and was chased away. Usually, when others wanted to talk to her, she couldn't be bothered. But Yi Hao was different. When she took the initiative to talk to him, he looked impatient and ignored her. At this moment, Bai Mutin even suspected that her charm had decreased, and the people around them were so shocked that their jaws dropped. The jealousy and anger in their eyes almost destroyed Yi Hao. This was their goddess, their dream lover. Even in their dreams, they wanted to talk to Bai Mutin. But Bai Mutin usually didn't even look at them in the eye, much less respond to them. But now, Bai Mutin actually took the initiative to bring wine to Yi Hao and even spoke to Yi Hao. She was so close to Yi Hao. This made them envious. They wished that they could become Yi Hao at this moment and be so close to a beauty. But they never expected that Yi Hao would ignore Bai Mutin and even ask Bai Mutin not to disturb him while he was drinking. Hearing Yi Hao's words, everyone felt like their hearts were about to explode. At the same time, they cursed in their hearts. Yi Hao didn't know what was good for him. At the same time, they could imagine that Bai Mutin would definitely be angry. Then, the atmosphere dissipated. Young master, you ordered a pot of imperial intoxication. According to the rules, I should serve you wine. Bai Mutin didn't get angry. Instead, she continued to speak with a smile. Everyone couldn't help but be stunned. Was this still the thorny and hot-tempered Bai Mutin? Why did she seem like a different person? Oh, you mean you want to serve me wine? Yi Hao didn't expect that Bai Mutin wouldn't leave. Instead, he looked at Bai Mutin with interest. That's right. Bai Mutin smiled charmingly. Just as Bai Mutin finished speaking, Yi Hao suddenly reached out and pulled Bai Mutin into his arms, making her sit on his lap. Even Bai Mutin didn't expect that Yi Hao would be so daring to do such a thing. A trace of fury appeared in Bai Peony's eyes at this moment. After all, in Qingshui town, who dared to be disrespectful to her? Who asked them to be so frivolous to her? Even if they were in the past, they no longer existed in this world. This kid is crazy. How dare he provoke Bai Mutin? I think this kid's life is coming to an end. Everyone saw that Yi Hao actually pulled Bai Mutin into his arms. No one envied Yi Hao at all. Instead, they looked at Yi Hao with pity. Because to them, Yi Hao was about to die. One must know that those who had designs on Bai Mutin in the past weren't as daring as Yi Hao, but they all died tragically. And how could such a daring person have a good ending? Why? Didn't you say you want to serve me wine? If you don't want to, then leave quickly. Yi Hao naturally sensed Bai Mutin's anger. He released his grip and said nonchalantly. Bai Mutin was stunned. She didn't know whether to get up or continue sitting on Yi Hao's lap. Because Yi Hao was right. She was the one who suggested to serve Yi Hao wine. Bai Mutin's anger was replaced by a smile again. She didn't get up. She looked at Yi Hao and asked softly, "How would you like me to serve you, young master?" Then feed this young master some wine. Yi Hao didn't expect Bai Mutin to stay on his lap. He wasn't afraid as he spoke. Looks like this kid has really lost his mind. He even wants Bai Mutin to feed him wine. He's really courting death. Bai Mutin is afraid. I wonder if this kid will have the life to drink it. Chapter 850. Just when everyone thought that Bai Mutin was about to lose his temper, Bai Mutin actually picked up his wine cup and started to pour. How would I dare to disobey young master's orders? Bai Mutin said with a smile. What's going on? White Peony didn't eat the wrong medicine today, right? Bai Mutin, are you really going to feed this kid wine? Everyone looked at Bai Mutin's actions and Bai Mutin's words. Their jaws almost dropped. Come, young master, open your mouth. Bai Mutin raised his wine cup and said to Yi Hao. Yi Hao glanced at Bai Mutin and did not refuse. He opened his mouth directly. Bai Mutin raised his wine cup and sneered in his heart. I don't believe that you can't get drunk. Bai Mutin poured the wine directly into Yi Hao's mouth. Yi Hao felt the wine enter his mouth. A unique wine aroma stimulated his taste buds and flowed down his throat. Yi Hao couldn't help but close his eyes and enjoy it. At this moment, a wave of drunkenness swam up his head. But Yi Hao felt that it was not just the effect of the wine. It seemed to be the effect of the medicine. Of course, the medicine was only beneficial to the human body. There shouldn't be any harm. Haha, looks like this kid is going to get drunk. Of course. Don't you know what kind of wine that is? It's the drunken emperor. How dare he ask for a jug of wine with this ability? He's overestimating himself. Everyone saw Yi Hao close his eyes and see Yi Hao's body sway. This meant that Yi Hao was drunk. Everyone couldn't help but mock him. Bai Mutin couldn't help but shake her head. Disappointment flashed in her eyes. She thought that Yi Hao was really capable and different from others. That was why he dared to ask for a jug of the drunken emperor. Now it seemed that Yi Hao was just showing off. Thinking of this, Bai Mutin was about to get up. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. Just as Yi Hao was starting to feel more and more drunk, the system notification suddenly sounded. As for the drunkenness from before, it actually disappeared in an instant. Yi Hao did not expect that he would gain 10,000 experience just by drinking a glass of wine. Yi Hao couldn't help but be overjoyed. He suddenly opened his eyes. Good wine. When the crowd heard Yi Hao's words, they were all shocked. Everyone thought that Yi Hao was already drunk. Who would have thought that Yi Hao would suddenly speak? The ridicule on everyone's faces disappeared in an instant. They all looked at Yi Hao in shock. This brat is actually not drunk. This brat is so powerful. He actually drank a cup of Emperor's intoxication and still didn't get drunk. This brat does have some skills. I wonder if he can still drink. What? You want to leave before you're done serving me? Yi Hao saw that Bai Mutin was about to get up and couldn't help but pull Bai Mutin back. Bai Mutin bumped into his arms again. Yi Hao said, Bai Mutin looked at Yi Hao, who seemed to be sober. He was also very surprised. However, Bai Mutin still suppressed the surprise in his heart. Young master, how is this wine? It's not bad. Continue to fill my cup. To be honest, the taste of this Emperor's intoxication was indeed not bad for Yi Hao. That taste was still lingering in his mind, making him reminisce endlessly. Of course, he couldn't deny that the aftereffects of the Emperor's intoxication were indeed very strong. If not for the system, he would probably be drunk now. But fortunately, the system was here. Now, he could taste the delicious wine without getting drunk and even gain experience points. Why not? Bai Mutin couldn't help but be shocked. Could it be that Yi Hao really didn't feel anything? One had to know that no one knew the power of this Emperor's intoxication better than she did. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that even the Demon Emperor would be drunk to death after drinking it. Bai Mutin suppressed his shock and continued to fill Yi Hao's cup with the Emperor's intoxication. I want to see if you're really not drunk or if you're just pretending. Bai Mutin thought to himself. At the same time, he sent the wine into Yi Hao's mouth. At this moment, everyone present, including Bai Mutin, had their eyes on Yi Hao. The originally noisy restaurant was now terrifyingly quiet. As the wine entered his mouth, Yi Hao naturally closed his eyes again and enjoyed the charm of the Emperor's intoxication. Needless to say, the more Yi Hao drank this Emperor's intoxication, the more memorable it was. Of course, when the Emperor's intoxication completely entered his stomach, he immediately felt sleepy again. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. And the system's notification sounded very timely. Continue. Yi Hao opened his eyes and looked at Bai Mutin in his arms. Oh, okay. Bai Mutin obviously didn't expect that Yi Hao's consciousness was still so clear. When he heard Yi Hao's words, he was slightly stunned at first, but he immediately reacted and poured another cup for Yi Hao. Could it be that he can really drink so much? At this moment, everyone was looking at Yi Hao in shock. One had to know that the Emperor's intoxication was very famous in Qingshui town. No one had ever been able to drink 3 cups of the Emperor's intoxication and still be conscious. And Yi Hao was about to drink his 3rd cup at this moment. Everyone couldn't help but look at Yi Hao nervously. Actually, Yi Hao being able to drink 2 cups of the Emperor's intoxication in a row and still not get drunk was enough to shock everyone present. Just as Bai Mutin finished pouring the 3rd cup of the Emperor's intoxication, who knew that a group of people would suddenly rush him downstairs? Who dared to throw away my brother and not give the Iron Tiger mercenary troop any face? Iron Tiger said directly. But as soon as he finished speaking, he felt that the atmosphere was a little strange. Why was it so quiet? And these people are usually very fearful when they see me. Why are they looking so unhappy now? Iron Tiger scanned the surroundings and realized that the people who usually saw him were like mice seeing a cat. At this moment, Each and every one of them was looking at him with dissatisfaction. This is Bai Muten. When Iron Tiger saw Bai Muten sitting in Yi Hao's arms, his eyes almost popped out. To be honest, Iron Tiger was also very envious of Bai Muten, but he didn't dare to provoke Bai Muten at all. As for White Peony, she had always rejected any man 1,000 miles away. But now, when he saw Bai Muten sitting in Yi Hao's arms, Iron Tiger wondered if he was dreaming. Who exactly is this brat? Iron Tiger couldn't help secretly sizing up Yi Hao. Brother, it's him. He's the one who hit me. At this moment, Iron Wolf stood out and pointed at Yi Hao angrily. His head was bandaged, and his hands were also bandaged. But when Iron Wolf saw Bai Muten in Yi Hao's arms, he was immediately stunned. At the same time, he felt an inexplicable pain in his heart. One must know that he, Iron Wolf, had been secretly in love with Bai Muten for a long time. But Bai Muten had never looked at him in the eye. But now, Bai Muten was sitting in Yi Hao's arms. More importantly, Yi Hao was even teaching him a lesson. How could he accept this? PFFF. Iron Wolf couldn't help but feel anger in his heart. He vomited a mouthful of blood. On the other hand, Taihu relied on his own strength to tyrannically abuse his power in Qingshui Town. But Yi Hao was probably the first person who dared to call Iron Tiger trash. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. After downing a glass of wine, Yi Hao gained another 10,000 experience points. This bastard is actually not drunk. Taihu saw that Yi Hao opened his eyes without the slightest hint of drunkenness and could not help but exclaim in surprise. How is this possible? How could he not be drunk? Seeing that Yi Hao was not drunk after drinking a glass, Tai Lang's heart felt as if it had taken 10,000 hits. After all, it was fine if his strength was not as good as Yi Hao's, but who knew that even his drinking was not as good as Yi Hao's? Although his strength was much stronger than before, he was still unable to drink a glass of the intoxicated emperor's wine and not get drunk. Could this be the reincarnation of the god of wine? This is 3 glasses, and he's still not drunk. He's simply my idol. When the crowd saw that Yi Hao was not drunk after drinking 3 glasses of the intoxicated emperor's wine, the way they looked at Yi Hao changed once again. Many people were shocked and started to worship Yi Hao, because in Qingshui Town, Yi Hao was definitely the first person to drink 3 glasses of the intoxicated emperor's wine and not get drunk. What? This is the 3rd glass? When Taihu heard what the crowd said, his initial surprise turned into astonishment. Impossible. How could someone drink 3 glasses of the intoxicated emperor's wine and not get drunk? Tai Lang's face was filled with disbelief. Under the shocked and doubtful gazes of Tai, Hu, and Tai Lang, Bai Muten simply took the wine jug and poured it into Yi Hao's mouth. When the crowd saw this scene, they were completely stunned. The intoxicated emperor's wine can be drunk like this? The crowd looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. When Yi Hao saw Bai Muten's actions, he did not refuse. Everyone's gaze landed on Yi Hao. They wanted to see if Yi Hao could really drink the entire jug of the intoxicated emperor's wine. Splash! The clear wine from the intoxicated emperor's wine was poured into Yi Hao's mouth by Bai Muten. The crowd didn't even dare to blink, afraid that they would miss a wonderful moment. Yi Hao realized that this kind of drinking from the jug had a different taste. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10,000 experience points. The system sounded 7 times in a row, and the intoxicated emperor's wine in the wine jug was completely drunk by him. Everyone looked carefully at Yi Hao and realized that Yi Hao's face was still not red. His heart was not beating, and there was no sign of drunkenness on his face. Is this still the intoxicated emperor's wine? This intoxicated emperor's wine can't be fake, right? How can someone drink a jug of the intoxicated emperor's wine and be completely fine? At this moment, other than shock, everyone's hearts were filled with shock. However, There were also people who, like Tai Lang, were suspicious. This intoxicated emperor's wine has always been in my custody. It can't be fake. Hearing the discussions around him, Mutin was unwilling to believe it. Someone could drink a jug of the intoxicated emperor's wine and not get drunk. However, Yi Hao had done it. Therefore, she directly spoke up for Yi Hao. When everyone heard Mutin's testimony, they couldn't help but believe that Yi Hao could drink a jug of the intoxicated emperor's wine and not get drunk. Is there any more intoxicated emperor's wine? Bring them all up, Yi Hao said to Mutin. Yi Hao naturally didn't want to miss out on this kind of good wine that was delicious and could give him experience points. All right, young master, please wait a moment. Mutin heard Yi Hao's words and immediately got up to go upstairs. In fact, the fact that Yi Hao could drink an entire jug of the intoxicated emperor's wine had aroused Mutin's interest. He wanted to see just how much Yi Hao could drink. On the other hand, although Tai Lang wanted to kill Yi Hao and tear Yi Hao to pieces, when he saw Yi Hao drink an entire jug of the intoxicated emperor's wine and not get drunk, he was instantly frightened. Taihu was the same. This was because Taihu knew that even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't be able to drink an entire jug of the intoxicated emperor's wine. When everyone heard that Yi Hao had drunk an entire jug of the intoxicated emperor's wine and wanted to drink more, they couldn't help but gasp. After all, Yi Hao was definitely the only person who could drink an entire jug of the intoxicated emperor's wine and not get drunk. Chapter 852. Young Master, the wine is here. Just as everyone was stunned, Mutin swayed her hips and walked down with 3 jugs of Emperor's intoxicated wine in her slender hands. Taihu and Tai Lang subconsciously made way for Mutin. Young Master, do you still need me to serve you wine? Mutin suppressed her shock and asked Yi Hao, how can I refuse a beauty serving me? Yi Hao watched as Mutin placed the wine on the table and pulled Mutin onto his lap. Mutin didn't refuse and picked up the wine jug. Come, young master, open your mouth. Everyone watched with rapt attention. Clearly, they did not expect Yi Hao to drink from the pot as soon as he came up. It would be fine if it was ordinary wine, but this was Emperor's intoxicated wine. Do you think he will get drunk after drinking this jug? It's hard to say. After all, who can drink a jug of Emperor's intoxicated wine? Didn't you see him drinking a jug of Emperor's intoxicated wine as if nothing had happened? Everyone was discussing and looking at Yi Hao as if he was a monster. Big brother, do you want to do it? Tai Lang watched as Yi Hao drank the wine with a beautiful woman in his arms with a look of enjoyment. He felt even more jealous and couldn't help but ask Taihu. Taihu looked serious and waved his hand. There's no hurry. I want to see how much this kid can drink. Swoosh. Soon, a jug of Emperor's intoxicated wine was poured into Yi Hao's mouth by Mutin. Yi Hao closed his eyes in enjoyment and felt the Emperor's intoxicated wine stimulate his taste buds. At the same time, the system's joyful voice sounded in his mind. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. Again, Yi Hao ordered Mutin after drinking a jug of Emperor's intoxicated wine. All right, Mutin suppressed the shock in his heart and picked up another pot of Emperor's intoxicated wine. When everyone saw this scene, their hearts were like stormy waves, and they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. I drank another pot. 2 pots of drunk Emperor, that's 20 cups. 20 cups of Emperor's drunken Emperor, yet he's not drunk. Is he still human? Ding dong, congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. Again, Yi Hao's voice exploded in the crowd. All right, Mutin looked at the empty flagon in his hand, and his voice actually trembled a little. This is the 3rd pot. Everyone looked at Yi Hao, who was not drunk at all. They were so shocked that they could not speak. Wait a moment. Just as Mutin was about to pick up the wine jug, Tai Lang's voice suddenly rang out. Hearing Tai Lang's voice, everyone turned their gazes to Tai Lang, not knowing what he was going to do. Second brother? Tai Hu also looked at Tai Lang in confusion, not knowing what Tai Lang was going to do. I suspect that this isn't Emperor's intoxicated wine, Tai Lang said decisively. One had to know that he had drunk Emperor's intoxicated wine before. He didn't believe that Yi Hao could drink 3 pots of Emperor's intoxicated wine in a row and not be drunk at all. Tai Lang, what do you mean? Are you suspecting me? Or are you suspecting my restaurant? How could I use fake wine? Don't look at how Bai Mutin's attitude towards Yi Hao was so good. But to others, Bai Mutin would not be so polite. Especially when she heard Tai Lang suspect that there was a problem with her wine. She directly shouted angrily, "Whether there's a problem with the wine or not, let me try it and we'll know. Don't make fake wine and fool us here." Tai Lang looked at Bai Mutin and said, "Second brother." When Tai Hu heard Tai Lang's words, he was afraid that Tai Lang would offend Bai Mutin and couldn't help but say anxiously, "Big brother, it's not like you haven't drunk Emperor's intoxicated wine before. Don't you know the power of Emperor's intoxicated wine? Can you believe that someone can drink 3 pots of Emperor's intoxicated wine?" Tai Lang looked at Tai Hu and couldn't help but ask. When Tai Hu heard Tai Lang's words, he clearly agreed with Tai Lang's view. Although there was no problem with the pot of Emperor's intoxicated wine, and there was no problem with the smell of Emperor's intoxicated wine in the air. But like Tai Lang, he didn't believe that someone could drink 3 pots of Emperor's intoxicated wine. So there was only one possibility, and that was that there was a problem with the wine. Could it be that there really is a problem with the wine? I think it's possible. There has never been anyone who can drink 3 cups of Emperor's intoxicated wine, let alone 3 pots of it. I knew it. Who could be so amazing to drink so much Emperor's intoxicated wine and not get drunk? When everyone heard Tai Lang's words, they all couldn't help but doubt it. When Bai Mutin heard everyone's words, she frowned. After all, if there was a problem with the Emperor's intoxicated wine, it would definitely affect the reputation of her tavern. If Boss Bai wants to prove that there's no problem with your wine, then let me have a taste. As Tai Lang spoke, he reached out to take the pot of Emperor's intoxicated wine. Looking at Tai Lang's actions, Yi Hao said coldly, "I've said it before. I don't like to be disturbed when I drink." "Oomph." Tai Lang sneered and ignored Yi Hao. Whoosh, just as Tai Lang's hand was about to take the pot of Emperor's intoxicated wine, the sound of something tearing through the air rang out. Tai Lang immediately covered his hand and began to scream in pain. There was a chopstick stuck in Tai Lang's hand, and blood instantly covered Tai Lang's hand. "Second brother, kid, you're courting death." Tai Hu saw that Tai Lang's hand was injured and immediately became anxious. "Men, kill this kid for me." Tai Hu immediately waved his hand and ordered the people behind him. No one expected that a fight would break out so quickly, and they all began to step back. Just as everyone was about to attack, Bai Mutin suddenly looked at Tai Hu and said coldly, "Tai Hu, do it. If you dare to do anything here, Bai Mutin, will never forgive you." "You." When Tai Hu heard Bai Mutin's words, his eyes were filled with anger as he clenched his fists. To be honest, he was still afraid of Bai Mutin. Otherwise, he would have torn down this tavern. At this moment, Tai Hu was filled with anger, but he had nowhere to vent it. "Fine, if you don't attack, then it proves that there's no problem with your wine. If there's no problem with your wine, then I, Tai Hu, will take my men and leave. Otherwise, humph." Tai Hu snorted coldly after he finished speaking. When Bai Mutin heard Tai Hu's words, she was put in a difficult position. It wasn't because her wine was fake, but because Yi Hao said that he didn't want anyone to disturb him when he was drinking. Bai Mutin couldn't see through Yi Hao, so he didn't dare to go against Yi Hao's wishes. Chapter 853. I, Bai Mutin, am an upright person. How could there be a problem with the wine? Bai Mutin retorted when she heard Tai Hu's words. "Since there's no problem, why doesn't Boss Bai dare to let us test it? Don't you think so?" Tai Hu asked the crowd in the restaurant after he finished speaking. "That's right. An upright person is not afraid of a crooked shadow. Let him test it. If there's no problem, Why don't you let him test it? Don't tell me this imperial drunken wine is fake. If it's fake, then aren't you playing with us? To think that I was shocked for half a day. Taihu's words stirred up the crowd's emotions. One by one, they spoke up. Young master, this. Bai Muden looked at Yi Hao awkwardly. There was a trace of pity in her expression. Since you want to test it, let him test it, Yi Hao said when he saw Bai Muden's pleading gaze. Bai Muden was stunned when she heard Yi Hao's words. She was delighted. She hadn't expected Yi Hao to agree. If Yi Hao insisted on not testing it, she really didn't know what to do. Bai Muden couldn't help but look at Yi Hao and express her gratitude. Thank you, young master. Taihu, since you want to test it, then do it quickly. Don't delay young master from drinking. Bai Muden looked at Taihu and said coldly, You go and have a drink. Taihu said to a mercenary beside him who was about as strong as him. Yes. The mercenary walked to the table after receiving Taihu's order. However, the mercenary looked at the wine jug on the table, then looked at Yi Hao. His gaze then fell on Taihu's hand, and he didn't dare to touch it. Trash. Bai Muden looked at the mercenary and couldn't help but say disdainfully. She poured a cup of imperial drunken wine and threw it at the mercenary. The mercenary hurriedly grabbed it and looked at Taihu. Taihu nodded at him and drank the cup of Emperor's drunken emperor himself. Everyone's attention was on the mercenary, because whether or not the mercenaries would get drunk would mean that Yi Hao's imperial drunken wine was real. Bang! In less than 10 seconds after the mercenary drank the drunken emperor, his body suddenly started to sway and he fell to the ground. Yes, Iron Tiger looked at the drunk mercenary lying on the ground in disbelief. He kicked the mercenary, but the mercenary didn't react at all. Could it be that D-Ren intoxication is real? Taihu thought to himself. There was a hint of fear in his eyes as he looked at Yi Hao. It's actually the real D-Ren intoxication. Heavens! There's actually someone who can drink 3 jugs of Emperor's intoxication. How'd he do it? He's too powerful. Other people get drunk after drinking 1 cup, but he can drink 3 pots like it's a game. There's no reaction at all. Now that everyone looked at the mercenary, none of them dared to doubt Yi Hao anymore. They also didn't dare to doubt that the D-Ren intoxication was fake. How is it, Taihu? Do you still want to say that the D-Ren intoxication is fake? Bai Muden sneered at Taihu, who didn't look too happy. Let's go. Taihu looked at Yi Hao and then at Bai Muden before snorting coldly. Big brother, you have to help me take revenge. We can't leave. Although Tai Lang saw that the D-Ren intoxication was real, he was still unwilling to leave when he heard that Taihu wanted to leave. One had to know that he had already suffered twice in front of Yi Hao today. At first, it was only his arm that was broken, but now one of his arms was crippled. If he left now and didn't take revenge, then he wouldn't be able to survive in Qingshui town in the future. You want to leave? We haven't settled the score yet. Yi Hao picked up the wine jug and took a sip before sneering. Since they had interrupted his drinking, they naturally had to pay the price. Settle the score? Upon hearing Yi Hao's words, everyone looked at Yi Hao in confusion. Taihu frowned even more. Yi Hao had injured Tai Lang. It was good enough that he didn't settle the score with Yi Hao. Could it be that Yi Hao wanted to settle the score with him? I said that no one could disturb my drinking. As soon as Yi Hao finished speaking, a black shadow suddenly appeared. If it wasn't the heavenly Een spirit, what else could it be? What the hell is this? When he saw the heavenly Een spirit appear, although Tai, who didn't know what it was, he could sense a dangerous aura from it. Just as Taihu and the Iron Tiger mercenary group were still on guard, the heavenly Een spirit suddenly moved and flew towards Taihu and the others. Then a series of screams rang out. By the time everyone reacted, the heavenly Een spirit had already disappeared. When everyone looked at Taihu and the others again, they realized that Taihu and the others had already turned into corpses. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing a rank 1 Demon Emperor warrior. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing a rank 3 Demon Emperor warrior. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 3,000 experience points. Ding dong. The system's voice kept ringing, but there were no experts above the rank of Demon Emperor in the Iron Tiger mercenary group. Hence, Yi Hao wasn't interested at all. After all, killing these people wasn't as good as drinking a jug of wine. The experience points gained were more. Serve the wine. Yi Hao threw the wine jug in his hand. Everyone looked at Yi Hao with fear in their eyes. After all, this was one of the top mercenary groups in Qingshui town. They were annihilated just like that. And Yi Hao, who did all this, didn't have any reaction at all. It was as if annihilating the Iron Tiger mercenary group was like annihilating a nest of ants. At this moment, everyone knew that Yi Hao was definitely not to be trifled with. After all, who could drink the Emperor's drunken wine so heartily? Who could annihilate the Iron Tiger mercenary group so easily? They found it hard to believe that all this was done by the young man in front of them, Yi Hao. At the same time, they also knew that the Iron Tiger mercenary group had kicked an iron plate this time, and it wasn't an ordinary iron plate. Perhaps Taihu didn't expect that he would die so easily even before he died. If Taihu was given a chance, he wouldn't dare to find trouble with Yi Hao even if he was beaten to death. But at this moment, he didn't even have the chance to regret it, because he was already dead. And in Qingshui town, the infamous Iron Tiger mercenary group had really announced their disappearance. Take out all the Emperor's drunken wine in your shop. Yi Hao looked at Bai Mutin, who was still in a daze in his arms, and continued to speak. When Bai Mutin heard Yi Hao's words, she quickly recovered from her shock. Bai Mutin quickly got up and said respectfully to Yi Hao, "Princess, please wait for a moment. I'll be right back." Bai Mutin guessed that Yi Hao wasn't ordinary, but she really didn't expect Yi Hao to be even stronger than she imagined. Although she wasn't afraid of the Iron Tiger, she also knew that the Iron Tiger mercenary group wasn't that easy to deal with. But Yi Hao didn't even make a move, and everyone in the Iron Tiger mercenary group was killed. Chapter 854. What on earth is that? Not only Bai Mutin, but everyone present could not help but think of the Heavenly Een spirit. Because they had never seen the Heavenly Een spirit before, they naturally did not know what it was. But the power of the Heavenly Een spirit was obvious to all of them. Bai Mutin quickly brought the maids over. Almost 20 pots of drunken Emperor wine were all placed on the table in front of Yi Hao. This time, Bai Mutin did not dare to sit on Yi Hao's lap like before. Instead, she stood trembling at the side. There was a trace of fear in her eyes towards Yi Hao. "Young master, this is all the drunken Emperor wine in our shop," Bai Mutin said as she looked at the wine in front of her. Bai Mutin did not know why she had a feeling that the drunken Emperor wine in front of her was not enough for Yi Hao to drink. When this thought came to her mind, even she was shocked. After all, these were 20 pots of drunken Emperor wine. As for Yi Hao, he had already drunk 4 pots. Bai Mutin could not imagine what kind of monster Yi Hao was. How could he be so good at drinking? "Are you afraid of me?" Yi Hao looked at the slightly reserved Bai Mutin. Compared to the charming Bai Mutin from before, she was like a completely different person. "No." Bai Mutin quickly shook her head when she heard Yi Hao's words. But before she could finish speaking, Yi Hao pulled her into his arms domineeringly. "Since you are not, serve me wine. You don't have to stand there in a daze. Eat and drink when you need to." Yi Hao did not like to be disturbed, but that was also for those who wanted to cause trouble for him. As for those who were drinking, Yi Hao could not be bothered with them and could not help but speak up. "Yes, yes, yes." Hearing Yi Hao's words, the onlookers quickly agreed. They were afraid that if they disobeyed Yi Hao would attack them. But the onlookers only returned to their seats and did not dare to speak loudly. After all, they still remembered that Yi Hao had said that he did not like to be disturbed when he was drinking. They were afraid that if their actions were too loud, they would anger Yi Hao. "You don't have to be so reserved. I don't kill innocent people." Yi Hao looked at the crowd and could not help but laugh. Hearing Yi Hao's words, the crowd slowly relaxed. Seeing that Yi Hao really did not care about them, they could finally relax. The restaurant, which had been eerily quiet, slowly became noisy. However, everyone was secretly looking at Yi Hao. To be exact, they were looking at those jugs of wine. Why do I feel like it's even easier for him to drink the Emperor's intoxication than drinking water? This is already the 7th pot, right? How'd he do it? Not getting drunk after 1,000 cups is nothing more than this. Everyone secretly looked at Yi Hao and could not help but whisper among themselves. Everyone was so shocked that they were almost numb. And the most shocked person was Bai Mutin. How much can he drink? Bai Mutin looked at the dozen or so bottles of wine left on the table. But she realized that Yi Hao's face did not show any signs of drunkenness. It was as if Yi Hao's stomach was like a bottomless pit. No matter how much wine he drank, he could hold it. Most importantly, it was as if the wine had no effect on Yi Hao at all. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. Yi Hao did not care about the crowd's shock. He only cared about being able to enjoy the delicious taste of the Emperor's intoxication and gain a large amount of experience points. Yi Hao kept drinking the Emperor's intoxication as the experience points in his mind kept ringing. Unknowingly, the sky turned dark, and the Emperor's intoxication in front of Yi Hao was finished. Cough. Yi Hao snorted comfortably, but the people around him were already numb, because they did not expect Yi Hao to really drink all the wine. That was more than 20 bottles of the Emperor's intoxication. This was not ordinary wine. It was wine that was enough to make a demon Emperor-level powerhouse drunk to death. Yi Hao, on the other hand, drank a full 20-plus jugs and was still safe and sound. Young master, it's already late. Let me arrange a guest room for you to rest. Bai Mutin looked at the empty wine bottles scattered on the table and suppressed the shock in her heart as she spoke to Yi Hao. All right. Yi Hao readily agreed to Bai Mutin's words. After all, he had been on the road for a few days. It was time for him to have a good rest. Young master, please come with me. Bai Mutin stood up. Who knew that Bai Mutin would lose her balance and fall directly? Yi Hao reacted quickly and pulled Bai Mutin into his arms. My legs are numb, Bai Mutin said embarrassedly. After all, she had been sitting on Yi Hao's lap and serving Yi Hao wine for almost an entire day. Sitting on Yi Hao's lap, she did not dare to move. It would be strange if her legs were not numb. Seeing Bai Mutin being pulled into Yi Hao's arms, such an intimate action. Everyone looked at Yi Hao with envy and jealousy in their eyes, but there was nothing they could do. After all, even the Iron Tiger mercenary group was destroyed by him. They were nothing compared to the Iron Tiger mercenary group. Young master, let go of me first. I could stand properly now. Bai Mutin did not know why, but she could not show her valiant side in front of Yi Hao and said timidly, Young master, this is our best room. You can rest first. Bai Mutin brought Yi Hao to the 3rd floor and pointed to a room as she spoke to Yi Hao. The moment Yi Hao stepped into the room, he smelled a refreshing fragrance. Looking at the tidy room, it was much better than what he expected. Yi Hao could not help but nod in satisfaction. Young master, is there anything else you need? Bai Mutin looked at Yi Hao and asked. No, you can leave first. Yi Hao said to Bai Mutin and closed the door. Bai Mutin looked at the tightly shut door in front of her and couldn't help but secretly say in her heart, really a person who can't be fathomed. Bai Mutin did not know why, but when Yi Hao closed the door, she felt a sense of emptiness in her heart. She had never felt this way before. Looks like it's really me, Emperor, when has been drinking too much and is a little drunk. Bai Mutin suddenly thought of an excuse. She shook her head and walked to the room next door. Yi Hao lay on the bed. He did not know if it was because he was tired or because he had drunk so much Emperor wine, but sleepiness quickly overwhelmed him. Chapter 855. Yi Hao couldn't help but stretch in the morning. Looking at this unfamiliar room, Yi Hao suddenly became energetic. But immediately, Yi Hao remembered where he was. It seems that it's time to enter the Emperor's fallen demon forest. Thinking of this, Yi Hao immediately got up and opened the door. Young master, you're awake. I've already prepared the things for you to wash up. Go wash up first. The moment Yi Hao opened the door next to him also suddenly opened. Bai Mutin walked out and said to him with a smile. Seeing Bai Mutin, Yi Hao couldn't help but feel his eyes light up. He felt that Bai Mutin now seemed to be more charming than yesterday. Thank you. Yi Hao immediately thanked Bai Mutin for his good intentions. Young master, have you finished washing up? Come down and eat. Just as Yi Hao finished washing up, Bai Mutin's voice sounded again. Okay. Yi Hao walked downstairs and found that Bai Mutin had already prepared some pastries for him. Young master, you drank so much yesterday. You're probably starving now. Bai Mutin smiled and pulled out a chair for him. Boss Bai, you don't have to be so polite. Seeing Bai Mutin being so polite, even Yi Hao's opponent was not used to it. Young master, don't call me boss. Just call me Peony. Bai Mutin said with a smile. Yi Hao is a little better. The maids in Bai Mutin's restaurant were completely stunned when they saw Bai Mutin. What's going on? Boss has never been so nice to any man before. This isn't just nice. This is simply too nice. Is this still the valiant boss we know? Several maids stood together and whispered to each other. I wonder what young master has come to Emperor Fall Devil Forest for? Bai Mutin looked at Yi Hao and asked curiously. Training. Yi Hao replied when he heard Bai Mutin's words. Oh, when will you be leaving? Bai Mutin continued to ask. Finish your food. So fast. When Bai Mutin heard Yi Hao's words, for some reason, he suddenly felt a little reluctant. By the way, old Bai, Peony, do you know anything about the Hidden Emperor's secret realm? Yi Hao remembered that Bai Mutin was the owner of this restaurant. Normally, customers would come in and out of the tavern, so they should have heard a lot of things. So, he couldn't help but ask. Senpou's secret realm? Young master, are you interested in the Senpai's secret realm as well? Bai Mutin looked at Yi Hao. She seemed to know about the Senpai secret realm. Yes. Yi Hao nodded and didn't deny it. According to what I heard, the Senpo mystic realm should open in 3 days. Bai Mutin replied. 3 days. It seems that there is still enough time. Yi Hao couldn't help but nod when he heard Bai Mutin's words. At the very least, he had heard some useful confidence from White Peony. One had to know that although the middle-aged tour guide had told him about the Senpo mystic realm, he had only heard of its name. As for the location and opening time of the Senpo mystic realm, that middle-aged tour guide really didn't know anything about it. Then do you know where the Senpo mystic realm is? Yi Hao looked at Bai Mutin and asked. Because if Bai Mutin knew the location of the Senpo mystic realm and told him, it would save him a lot of trouble. That would save him a lot of trouble. He wouldn't have to waste time searching for the buried emperor's secret realm. However, he didn't expect Bai Mutin to know the location of the Senpo mystic realm. After all, Bai Mutin was just the owner of the tavern. In Yi Hao's opinion, it was already very good that Bai Mutin knew the opening time of the Senpo mystic realm. Although he didn't expect Bai Mutin to know the location of the Senpo mystic realm, he still looked at Bai Mutin expectantly. Bai Mutin looked at Yi Hao expectantly. He couldn't help but feel a little hesitant. Then he asked, do you know that the Senpo mystic realm might be filled with danger? Yi Hao's heart lit up when he heard Bai Mutin's words. He looked at Bai Mutin excitedly and said, could it be that you really know the location of the Senpo mystic realm? Bai Mutin nodded and said, yes, I know the location of the Senpo mystic realm. However, I also know that entering the Senpo mystic realm is filled with danger. Sometimes, danger and opportunity coexist. Please tell me the location of the Senpo mystic realm. Yi Hao looked at Bai Mutin and said, do you really want to know? Bai Mutin actually didn't want to tell Yi Hao the location of the Senpo mystic realm. After all, she had heard that there were many demon sovereigns participating in the Senpo mystic realm this time. Moreover, because it was a mystic realm for Atman body realm experts, it might even attract demon sovereigns. Even if there were no demon sovereigns, a mystic realm for Atman body realm experts wasn't that easy to enter. Therefore, entering the Senpo mystic realm was filled with danger. Bai Mutin didn't want to see Yi Hao in danger. However, if Yi Hao forced himself to know, she wouldn't hide it from him. This was because she knew that if Yi Hao really wanted to enter the Senpo mystic realm, even if she didn't tell Yi Hao the location, Yi Hao would definitely be able to find it. Therefore, if Yi Hao really wanted to enter the Senpo mystic realm, she would also tell Yi Hao. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the mission to explore the Tsenpo Mystic Realm. Mission completed. You will receive 1 level reward and the right to summon the demon sovereigns permanently. At this moment, Yi Hao suddenly heard the system's notification in his mind. Yes. Yi Hao nodded at Bai Mutin. All right then, please wait for a moment. Bai Mutin looked at the maid behind her and said, Go and prepare a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. Yes, boss. Upon receiving Bai Mutin's order, a maid hurriedly ran down and quickly brought over a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. Bai Mutin immediately began to draw. Bai Mutin's drawing skills were also very accomplished, and the way he drew was also very decent. After a while, Bai Mutin's pen had clearly completed a map. Bai Mutin moved the map in front of Yi Hao and said, Young master, this is the route to the Tsenpo Mystic Realm. Bai Mutin marked out some of the important positions and said, If I'm not wrong, the Tsenpo Mystic Realm should be in this position. Bai Mutin pointed at a position on the map and said. Yi Hao looked at the map. He didn't understand the layout of the demon forest of Fallen Emperor. However, when he saw the map that Bai Mutin had drawn, he could see it very clearly. This was because Bai Mutin had drawn the route from Qingshui Town to the Tsenpo Mystic Realm. The route between them could be said to be drawn very clearly. Thank you, Miss Peony. After Yi Hao finished looking at the map, he immediately put it away and thanked Bai Mutin. Miss Peony, take these spirit coins as the money for yesterday's wine. Yi Hao suddenly thought of something and took out a handful of spirit coins and handed them to Bai Mutin. Chapter 856. Young master, there's no need for that. Seeing Yi Hao take out the spirit coins, Bai Mutin hurriedly refused. Since it's for you, take it. Just treat it as money for the imperial drunken wine. I think it should be enough. In Yi Hao's opinion, the imperial drunken wine should be expensive as well, and spirit coins were not bad to him. After all, he had obtained so many spirit coins in the divine sect. If one were to ask him what he lacked the most now, it would be spirit coins. Since he had drunk Bai Mutin's wine, he naturally could not drink it for free. He still had to pay for it. Thank you, young master, but this is too much. I can't use it. Bai Mutin looked at the dozen or so spirit coins. They were all high-grade spirit coins. If they were exchanged for low-grade spirit coins, it would be more than 100,000. As for his imperial drunken wine, although it was expensive, he could not use it. It was more than 100,000 low-grade spirit coins. Take it. If there's a chance, I'll visit your restaurant again. After Yi Hao finished speaking, he directly left the restaurant. Bai Mutin stood in front of the window and looked at Yi Hao's back as he left. He muttered in his heart, You must pay attention to your safety. You guys take good care of the restaurant. I want to brew wine. After Bai Mutin finished speaking to the maids, he also left the restaurant. There were still 3 days before the Hidden Emperor's secret realm opened. Originally, Yi Hao thought that there was plenty of time. However, when he was on the road, he realized that there might not be enough time at all. Yi Hao analyzed that if he traveled during the day and rested at night, he would not be able to make it to the Hidden Emperor's secret realm in time. Therefore, Yi Hao had no choice but to continue traveling at night. On the 3rd day, Yi Hao checked the map and found that they were almost at the buried king's secret realm. Who's there? Suddenly, 2 people appeared and blocked his path. If you don't want to die, leave this place quickly. The 2 of them looked at Yi Hao's cultivation, and one of them said disdainfully. Seeing the 2 of them, Yi Hao could not help but frown. Who are you people? Why won't you let me pass? The buried king's secret realm was right in front of him. He had already traveled for 2 days and 2 nights. How could he give up now? Moreover, the attitude of these 2 people made him very unhappy, but he still asked patiently. He was also curious as to why these 2 people were stopping him. Trash, why do you have so much nonsense to say? Hurry up and leave this place. Do you hear me? If you dare to talk nonsense again, we'll kill you. Seeing that Yi Hao didn't leave and instead continued to question them, the 2 of them were even more displeased. Idiots! Yi Hao sneered when he heard their conversation. They were merely 2 sixth-order demon emperors, yet they dared to be so condescending and arrogant. What did you say? Trash, you're courting death. The two obviously did not expect Yi Hao to call them idiots. Then, the two of them drew their weapons and charged at Yi Hao. When Yi Hao saw that the two of them were about to kill him, his gaze turned cold. You're courting death. With his current cultivation base, killing a sixth-order demon emperor was as easy as crushing an ant. Seeing that the two of them actually overestimated themselves and attacked him, Yi Hao naturally would not be merciful. He immediately threw out 2 punches, smashing towards the two men's faces. The two of them didn't even have the chance to react in front of Yi Hao and were sent flying. Bang! Bang! The 2 corpses smashed into 2 ancient trees. The 2 towering trees collapsed with a loud bang. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a 6th-order demon emperor. Congratulations to the host for gaining 6,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a 6th-order demon emperor. Congratulations to the host for gaining 6,000 experience points. What a bunch of trash. Yi Hao heard the prompt in his mind and looked at the 2 corpses in disdain. Because the experience points that the two of them contributed was not as good as a cup of Emperor's intoxication. After dealing with the two of them, Yi Hao continued to rush to the buried king's secret realm. But Yi Hao was on guard all along in his heart. After all, these 2 people who suddenly appeared to block the road must have been arranged by someone. Finally arrived. Before long, Yi Hao saw a group of people. If he did not guess wrongly, these people should be here for the buried king's secret realm. And Yi Hao's sudden appearance naturally attracted a lot of attention too. Why is there still someone coming? Furthermore, it's a first-order demon emperor trash? Didn't the Black Sword Sect's people send people to seal off the various intersections? Maybe he slipped in and didn't bump into the Black Sword Sect's people. That's true too. This Emperorfall Devil Forest is so big. There are roads in all directions. How can it be completely sealed off? These people were all in groups of 3 to 5, distributed in various positions. At this moment, many people were looking at Yi Hao and discussing. But the majority looked at Yi Hao's cultivation and did not take Yi Hao seriously. Why is there still someone coming? Didn't I send people to seal off the various intersections? Right at this moment, a group of people who were wearing the same clothes as the 2 people who blocked Yi Hao said with a dissatisfied look, Senior Brother Wang, this Emperorfall Devil Forest is so big. Moreover, we sent out insufficient manpower. It's completely normal for a rotten fish to accidentally barge in. That's right. If Senior Brother Wang doesn't like this person, we can just kill him. How can we let this person disturb Senior Brother Wang's mood? Men, kill that kid. Right at this moment, the people around the young man all started talking at the same time. When Wang Xingyu heard the crowd's words, he nodded in satisfaction and revealed a smile on his face. I didn't expect to meet the Black Sword Sect's people here. Yi Hao looked at the 2 young men who were walking towards him and could not help but sneer. His memory of the Black Sword Sect was still fresh in his mind. When he had just entered this ancient demon domain, he had destroyed the Wang family in the Castle of the Kings. The eldest young master of the Wang family had joined the Black Sword Sect because he had seized the Bai family's resources. Later on, the eldest young master had sent people to avenge the Wang family. However, they had also been killed by Yi Hao. Although he had been on guard against the Black Sword Sect taking revenge at any time, there had been no news of the Black Sword Sect later on. He had not expected to meet the Black Sword Sect again here. What he had not expected was that the Black Sword Sect's people were actually so rude and unreasonable. In order to prevent others from entering the Hidden Monarch's secret realm, they had even sent people to block the road. Yi Hao looked at the 2 people who were walking towards him with arrogant looks on their faces. It was obvious that they were here to cause trouble. Kid, you're unlucky to have disturbed Senior Brother Wang's mood. So, do you want to do it yourself, or do we? If you do it yourself, you might be able to suffer some pain. However, if we do it ourselves, that might not be the case. The 2 of them walked up to Yi Hao and threatened him. I didn't expect the Black Sword Sect's people to be so overbearing. Looks like this kid is about to die. This kid is really unlucky. What can he do? Chapter 857. Those who were besieging Yi Hao were discussing indifferently. Obviously, they were not used to this scene. At this moment, all of them were looking at Yi Hao with the intention of watching a show. Are the people of the Black Sword sect all idiots? Yi Hao said disdainfully when he saw the two arrogant people. What did he say? It seems that he doesn't want to live anymore. How dare he scold the people of the Black Sword sect? I didn't expect him to be so bold. The onlookers were obviously shocked by Yi Hao's words. How dare you scold the Black Sword sect? You're courting death. Wang Xingyu shouted angrily when he heard Yi Hao's words. Senior Brother Wang, don't be angry. Leave this reckless trash to us. Go to hell, boy. The two disciples who were close to Yi Hao were also furious at this moment. Hearing Wang Xingyu's angry shout, they attacked Yi Hao directly. At this moment, they used all their skills just to perform well in front of Wang Xingyu. Wang Xingyu was the favorite disciple of the Black Sword sect. Naturally, they had to curry favor with him. I told you that you're idiots. Don't overestimate yourselves. Looking at the two disciples who were rushing towards him, Yi Hao moved directly. In order not to expose his strength too much, it was better to keep a trump card. After all, there were too many people here. Thus, Yi Hao did not kill the two of them directly. Instead, he purposely fought with the two of them for a few rounds before killing them. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for killing a level 6 Demon Emperor expert. Congratulations to the host for gaining 6,000 experience points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for killing a level 7 Demon Emperor expert. Congratulations to the host for gaining 7,000 experience points. Even if Yi Hao hid his strength, it still surprised the onlookers. I didn't expect this boy to hide his strength. He must have hidden his strength. If he didn't, how could he kill the two disciples of the Black Sword sect? Look at the fight between this boy and the two disciples of the Black Sword sect. His strength is estimated to be at level 8 Demon Emperor, 8th Order Devil Emperor. This kid's strength is not bad, but it's unfortunate that he provoked the Black Sword sect. No matter what, the people of the Black Sword sect will definitely not let him off today. You're courting death. Wang Xingyu was even more furious when he saw his two followers killed by Yi Hao. Wang Xingyu drew his weapon and was about to attack Yi Hao. At the same time, his aura was revealed. Sensing Wang Xingyu's cultivation, many people sucked in a breath of cold air. Their eyes were filled with fear and apprehension. This is a first-order demon venerable. I never thought that the Black Sword sect would have such a genius disciple. Even the number 1 genius of the Tianyuan Academy, Chu Feng, is only SOSO. Many people looked at Wang Xingyu in shock. When Wang Xingyu heard the discussions around him, he couldn't help but feel a little proud. Brat, you will become my Wang Xingyu's stepping stone. Wang Xingyu sneered in his heart. He wanted to show off his strength in front of everyone. As for killing Yi Hao with overwhelming power, in his opinion, it was clearly the best choice. Seeing Wang Xingyu make his move, Yi Hao couldn't help but frown because Wang Xingyu was a first-order demon venerable. If he wanted to kill Wang Xingyu, he would have to use some tricks. For example, the explosion of spirit coins or the 10,000 B spiritual fire. However, there were too many people here. He didn't want to reveal these two trump cards. Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. Looking at Wang Xingyu's smug face, Yi Hao prepared to summon the heavenly Yin spirit. Yi Hao believed that with the heavenly Yin spirit strength, killing Wang Xingyu wouldn't be a problem. At this moment, everyone was watching with rapt attention. They wanted to see how strong Wang Xingyu was as a first-order demon venerable. Senior Brother Wang, do your best. Kill that brat. Senior Brother Wang, avenge those two junior brothers. Senior Brother Wang, let this brat know who is the real idiot. Senior Brother Wang, let him know that the dignity of our Black Sword sect is not to be violated and provoked. Seeing Wang Xingyu make his move, Wang Xingyu's followers shouted one after another. Rumble. However, at this moment, the ground began to tremble. Everyone immediately looked around vigilantly. It seems like the buried king's secret territory has opened. Suddenly, someone shouted excitedly. On the other hand, Wang Xingyu frowned and stopped attacking Yi Hao. After all, in his eyes, the buried king's secret territory was the most important thing. He could kill Yi Hao at any time. The ground trembled for more than 10 seconds, and suddenly, the ground split open neatly. When the dust settled, a stone staircase that led straight to the ground appeared in front of everyone. At this moment, everyone was excited and nervous. Everyone looked at the stone staircase and wanted to be the first to rush down and obtain the treasures inside. However, no one dared to do so. After all, no one knew if there was any danger below. The atmosphere was in a deadlock for an instant. Everyone looked at each other, but no one dared to take the first step. "Come, let's go in first," Wang Xingyu suddenly said. After Wang Xingyu finished speaking, he stepped onto the stone staircase. The people that Wang Xingyu brought with him immediately followed him. When the others saw Wang Xingyu bring people in, they immediately became anxious. They were afraid that the things inside would be obtained by Wang Xingyu. One by one, they immediately followed. Yi Hao looked at everyone. They all looked anxious as they entered the buried king's secret territory. However, he was not anxious at all. This was because he knew that the buried king's secret territory was definitely not that easy to obtain. Therefore, there was no benefit in rushing in now. Heavenly Yin Spirit, go down and take a look first. Yi Hao summoned the Heavenly Yin Spirit and prepared to let the Heavenly Yin Spirit explore the path for him. The Heavenly Yin Spirit received Yi Hao's order and immediately entered the buried king's secret territory. As for the previously noisy Emperor Devil Forest, it immediately quieted down. Close to 100 people had all entered the buried king's secret territory. Only Yi Hao alone remained above. After more than an hour, the Heavenly Yin Spirit returned to Yi Hao's side. Not bad. Some information appeared in Yi Hao's mind. Naturally, it was transmitted to him by the Heavenly Yin Spirit's thoughts. Yi Hao was not stingy with his praise. Yi Hao also stepped onto the stone staircase and began to walk down. After entering the cave, it was not as dark as imagined. He saw that there were many luminous pearls on the walls. At this moment, they were shining and illuminating the entire tunnel. After walking for a short distance, he saw that the ground was covered with poisonous arrows and all kinds of hidden weapons. There were also several corpses. Yi Hao's footsteps began to move continuously on the ground. It looked like there was no order to it at all. However, Yi Hao continued to walk forward steadily. Nothing out of the ordinary had happened to him. If the people who had just entered saw this scene, their jaws would definitely drop in shock. Chapter 858. This was because when everyone walked past this place, they were met with a hail of bullets. Hidden weapons would fly out from everywhere. In order to avoid the hidden weapons, everyone was in a sorry state. Every one of them tried their best. Even so, there were still many casualties. How could there be anyone like Yi Hao who could walk so casually without using any hidden weapons? Actually, one shouldn't be fooled by Yi Hao's messy and disorderly gait. It was as if he was just walking around randomly. However, this was a route that was analyzed by the Heavenly Yin Spirit. Yi Hao walked for about 4 to 5 minutes before he finally saw a light in front of him. From the beginning to the end, not a single hidden weapon flew out. Yi Hao knew that he had passed the first stage of the buried king's secret realm. He walked to the end and saw a cave entrance. Yi Hao stepped out of the cave entrance and saw a square in front of him. The square was close to 1,000 square meters. Logically speaking, it was already amazing that there was such a place underground. However, it was a piece of cake for powerful martial artists, not to mention martial artists who were more powerful than martial artists. Yi Hao's appearance naturally attracted many people's attention. "Brat, your dog life is pretty tenacious to actually not die yet." Wang Xingyu could not help being somewhat surprised when he saw Yi Hao appear. This kid is only a level 1 demon emperor. How could he reach here? It seems that this kid is quite lucky. However, the tunnel is so scary. This kid is quite capable to be able to reach here. Everyone looked at Yi Hao and couldn't help but talk about it. "Bastard, I'll give you a chance to live now. Walk over." Wang Xingyu suddenly pointed at Yi Hao and said. Yi Hao just realized that everyone was standing at the edge of the square. On the other hand, the square was completely empty. Everything was there. The reason why everyone was standing there was because they didn't dare to move forward. It was because they were frightened by the tunnel. Now, they looked at the square with fear and were afraid of danger. That's right. Let this kid explore the way first. Grand young Master Wang, you are indeed smart. Why didn't we think of this before? Senior brother, this is a good idea. I admire you. Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard Wang Xingyu's words, and they all laughed. These people are trying to use me as a tool. Yi Hao's expression turned cold when he heard what the people around him said. However, after taking a look at the square, Yi Hao suddenly revealed a smile. If he guessed correctly, this square was the test to the next level. As for what the test was, he wasn't too sure. All right, young Master Wang, how do you think I should get there? Yi Hao looked at Wang Xingyu and asked as he walked towards Wang Xingyu. However, Wang Xingyu obviously didn't take Yi Hao seriously. He couldn't help but snort proudly. You know what's good for you. You could just walk along this path. Wang Xingyu pointed across the square and said, I thought this kid was tough. Isn't he still submitting to senior brother Wang now? That brat has always been like this. How could he have angered senior brother Wang? It's just that I don't know if that brat will be lucky enough to survive. When Wang Xingyu's followers heard what Yi Hao said, they couldn't help but look at Yi Hao mockingly. They sneered in their hearts. Yi Hao looked at Wang Xingyu with a smug expression. He sneered in his heart and suddenly kicked out. Young Master Wang, may I ask if this is how I should go? This kick of Yi Hao's could be said to have used all of his strength. Wang Xingyu obviously didn't expect Yi Hao to kick him. Hence, Yi Hao's kick landed squarely on Wang Xingyu's buttocks. As Wang Xingyu wasn't prepared, he couldn't react in time and was sent flying. Bastard, I'll kill you. Wang Xingyu felt that his buttocks were almost smashed. Before he landed on the ground, he shouted angrily. Senior brother. Wang Xingyu's followers were shocked when they saw Wang Xingyu being sent flying. They immediately called out anxiously. As for the rest of the onlookers, they were stunned when they saw Yi Hao's mocking expression. They didn't expect Yi Hao to be so bold as to kick Wang Xingyu. However, although everyone was shocked, they still turned their gazes to Wang Xingyu. This was because they also wanted to know what would happen when Wang Xingyu landed on the square. However, to everyone's surprise, Wang Xingyu suddenly disappeared when he landed on the square. Where did he go? Why is he gone? Senior brother, what's going on? Everyone panicked when they saw this scene. Kid, you're courting death. Wang Xingyu was an important disciple of the Black Sword sect. If something happened to Wang Xingyu, they would be in deep trouble. Wang Xingyu disappeared because of Yi Hao. They naturally blamed Yi Hao for all the consequences. Brothers, kill this brat. One of the Black Sword sect disciples suddenly opened his mouth and said. As soon as the Black Sword sect disciple finished speaking, the Black Sword sect disciples immediately surrounded Yi Hao. A bunch of idiots. At this moment, a figure suddenly moved to the center of the square and looked at the Black Sword sect disciples with disdain. When this person arrived at the square, he disappeared without a trace. A demon sovereign elite. Yi Hao could tell at a glance that this person was a demon sovereign elite. He hadn't guessed wrongly. There were many elites hidden in the crowd. After this person disappeared, a few more figures stepped into the square. I see. Yi Hao understood what was going on when he saw this scene. However, he hadn't expected that there would be so many elites hidden in the crowd. If he hadn't guessed wrongly, those people should all be demon sovereigns. I can't let these people get ahead of me. Yi Hao was also very curious about the hidden emperor's secret territory. If Wang Xingyu had been the only demon sovereign elite before, he wouldn't have cared. However, now that so many elites had appeared, he had no choice but to take it seriously. I don't have time to play with you now. Yi Hao looked at the Black Sword sect disciples rushing towards him and dodged them easily. Then, he sped towards the square. Bastard, where do you think you're going? The Black Sword sect disciples thought that Yi Hao was trying to escape, so they chased after him. When Yi Hao stepped into the center of the square, he suddenly felt his whole body become light. Yi Hao inadvertently saw a faint fluorescent light shining under his feet. I guessed right. There's a small transportation array here. When Yihao saw this fluorescent light, he was even more certain of his guess. Chapter 859. What's that sound? Yihao's first reaction was to step back immediately. At the same time, he looked in front of him and saw a wooden puppet attacking him. A first-order demon emperor puppet. Yihao sensed the puppet's aura and heaved a sigh of relief. At this time, Yihao looked around and saw that he was in a sealed space. In the entire space, there was only him and the puppet in front of him. They want me to fight with the puppet. Yihao immediately analyzed the situation. At this time, the puppet's attack was already in front of him. Yihao looked at the puppet in front of him and slapped it with the back of his hand. Bang! Whoosh! Under Yihao's slap, the puppet, which was majestic and powerful just a moment ago, was smashed into pieces. It was that simple, that easy. After all, he was an existence that could fight against a first-order demon venerable. A mere first-order demon emperor puppet was nothing in his eyes. At the moment when the puppet collapsed, a blinding light appeared. Yihao subconsciously closed his eyes. Although he closed his eyes, his consciousness was still on high alert and observing his surroundings. In just a moment, Yihao opened his eyes. This is her field? Yihao looked at the scene in front of him and was stunned. Poison Soul Immortal Orchid, 100 Illusion Ganoderma, Golden Spirit Ginseng, Lingji Mysterious Grass. Yihao looked at the herbs in front of him and couldn't help but be shocked. These herbs were all priceless treasures. Judging from their age, they were at least hundreds or thousands of years old. Is this really a secret realm for Atman Body Realm experts? Yihao couldn't help but feel doubtful, because in his opinion, Atman Body Realm experts shouldn't be able to possess these treasures. Since I found out, I won't hold back. Yihao looked at the treasures and couldn't help but smile happily. As for Yihao, he did as he said and immediately began to gather all kinds of spiritual herbs. At first, Yihao was very careful, afraid that he would hurt these treasures. Even the roots were kept intact by Yihao. After all, the better the spirit grass was collected, the higher the medicinal value would be. These spiritual herbs have been growing for such a long time. It could be said that they had absorbed the essence of the sun and moon. To Yihao, they were all treasures. These spiritual grasses were definitely priceless. After all, it was easy to find spiritual herbs in the ancient demon realm. However, it was not easy to find spiritual herbs of a certain age. However, in the end, Yihao's patience began to wear thin. He began to sweep the area, and his speed increased. Even so, Yihao still took more than 2 hours to harvest. At this moment, there were nearly 10,000 spirit herbs lying in his space. Moreover, they were all spirit herbs that were hundreds or even thousands of years old. Yihao looked at the empty medicinal valley and could not help but reveal a look of satisfaction. Even if he didn't get anything else, just these spiritual herbs were enough to make this trip worth it. This was because as long as he took out these spirit herbs, countless people would fight for them. Something is wrong? At this moment, Yihao's face suddenly froze. He squatted down and began to look at the ground. Looking at the ground, Yihao's face became more serious. His face was filled with disbelief and then ecstasy. Sacred land of spiritual herbs. It's really the sacred land of spiritual herbs. I was wondering how these spirit herbs could grow so well. At this moment, Yihao was so excited that he could not calm down. This was because the sacred land of spiritual herbs was a kind of heaven and earth treasure. Moreover, it was a very rare heaven and earth treasure. Moreover, the sacred land of spiritual herbs was regarded as a holy object by the alchemists. Any alchemist would go crazy if they could get a little bit of the sacred land of spiritual herbs. Even if they were not alchemists, they would be eager to get their hands on the sacred land of spiritual herbs. This was because the sacred land of spiritual herbs had a very powerful function. That was to increase the survival rate of the spirit herbs and increase their growth by several times. This also meant that it could greatly shorten the growth time of the spirit herbs. This was definitely something that defied the natural order. Moreover, the sacred land of spiritual herbs had only appeared in the ancient books. Even in the ancient books, it was recorded that the sacred land of spiritual herbs was very rare. Moreover, every time it appeared, it would be in very small quantities. It was a treasure that could only be found by chance. However, Yihao looked at the spiritual herb garden and realized that it was at least 1,000 square meters. Yihao's eyes were filled with ecstasy. How many sacred land of spiritual herbs will there be? This time, we're really rich. In Yihao's opinion, the value of the sacred land of spiritual herbs was definitely far beyond the value of the spirit herbs that they had obtained previously. After all, the spirit herbs would be used up when they were used up. However, the sacred land of spiritual herbs could be used continuously and could continuously cultivate spirit herbs. How could Yihao let go of such a treasure when he had encountered it? Next, Yihao made a shocking move. He took out a huge sword and began to strike the ground. In the blink of an eye, the ground was smashed into pieces. However, the ground that was smashed into pieces quickly recovered. This was how miraculous the sacred land of spiritual herbs was. Yihao took the opportunity to put the scattered sacred land of spiritual herbs into the infinite space. In a short while, Yihao had collected more than half of the sacred land of spiritual herbs in the entire Medicine Valley. Although the sacred land of spiritual herbs covered the entire Medicine Valley, it was only 1 meter deep. But in Yihao's opinion, he was already very satisfied. Because according to the ancient books, the sacred land of spiritual herbs that appeared in the ancient demon's realm was less than 1% of the sacred land of spiritual herbs here. Although striking the sacred land of spiritual herbs had greatly reduced Yihao's physical strength, Yihao still enjoyed it. If there was enough sacred land of spiritual herbs, he would be willing to dig for it for a year. After all, this was a treasure that countless powerful warriors and top alchemists wanted but could not get their hands on. Whoosh! Just as Yihao was still digging for the sacred land of spiritual herbs, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Yihao. This voice was naturally Wang Xingyu's. When Wang Xingyu saw Yihao, he was obviously very surprised. How can it be? How can you be here? And how can you be so fast? Wang Xingyu was shocked and looked at Yihao in confusion. Yihao obviously did not expect Wang Xingyu to appear at this critical moment. Yihao saw that Wang Xingyu was panting and his clothes were a little messy. One look and he knew that he had just been through a battle. Wang Xingyu looked at Yihao in shock because he had been kicked by Yihao earlier. In the blink of an eye, Huang Xiaolong appeared in a sealed secret chamber. Inside the secret chamber was a first-order demon venerable puppet. One had to know that he had suffered a lot in the battle with this puppet. It took him a lot of effort to kill the puppet. At this thought, Wang Xingyu remembered that Yihao had kicked his butt. Instantly, his eyes burned with murderous rage. Chapter 860. Yihao frowned and couldn't help but feel anxious. After all, Wang Xingyu was already here. If he delayed any longer, more people would definitely appear. If those people appeared, they would definitely fight for the spiritual grass sacred land. Hence, he had to make the best use of his time and try to collect all the spiritual grass sacred land before those people appeared. Hence, Yihao couldn't be bothered with Wang Xingyu and continued to dig the spiritual grass sacred land. When Wang Xingyu saw this scene, he couldn't help but mock. "Are you crazy? You're actually digging? Idiot!" Yihao heard Wang Xingyu's words and couldn't help but look at him in disdain. When Yihao heard Wang Xingyu's words, he could tell that Wang Xingyu didn't recognize the spiritual grass sacred land. However, if Wang Xingyu knew that this was the spiritual grass sacred land and its effect, he wasn't sure if he would still be able to laugh. When Wang Xingyu heard Yihao calling him an idiot, he couldn't help but raise his sword and slash at Yihao angrily. However, Yihao couldn't be bothered with him at all. He was only focused on collecting the spiritual grass sacred land. Boom! As Yihao dodged, Wang Xingyu's attack directly hit the ground, causing dust to fly up. "Ha ha, thank you." Seeing the dust flying up, Yihao couldn't help but laugh. He kept all the spiritual grass, sacred land, that Wang Xingyu had sent flying into the space. Wang Xingyu was even more furious. He was furious that Yi Hao didn't take him seriously and was still collecting the spiritual grass, sacred land. To him, this was the greatest disregard. This made Wang Xingyu feel that he was worse than a pile of dirt. This made the furious Wang Xingyu start to use his martial techniques. However, Yi Hao wasn't in the mood to fight with him and kept dodging. Most of Wang Xingyu's attacks landed on the ground. This greatly increased the speed at which Yi Hao collected the spiritual grass, sacred land. "Bastard, don't run if you dare. Fight me." Wang Xingyu bellowed angrily as he watched Yi Hao's back. Come on. You're too weak." Yi Hao continued to provoke Wang Xingyu when he heard Wang Xingyu's roar. After all, this was the sacred land of spiritual grasses. It would take a lot of effort to dig it out. However, with Wang Xingyu's continuous attacks, he did not need to dig up the sacred land of spiritual herbs. Instead, he could directly store them into the system storage. It didn't take long for him to dig up almost 2/3 of the entire Medicine Valley's sacred land of spiritual herbs. What Wang Xingyu didn't expect was that Yi Hao still dared to provoke him. His eyes were filled with anger as he roared, "Bastard, if I don't kill you today, I swear I'm not human." Wang Xingyu's attacks were like they were free, landing on the ground nonstop. "You really are trash. If I don't fight back, you can't even attack me. Did you not eat? Your attacks are so weak." Could it be that these are the disciples of the Black Sword sect? As expected, they're all trash. The entire Medicine Valley was filled with Yi Hao's provocative voice. This ignited Wang Xingyu's anger. At this moment, only Yi Hao was left in Wang Xingyu's eyes. Wang Xingyu only wanted to kill the ant in front of him who was provoking him so that he could vent the hatred in his heart. Yi Hao continued to provoke Wang Xingyu while happily collecting the sacred land of spiritual herbs. Done. After a while, all the sacred land of spiritual herbs in the Medicine Valley was stored into the system storage by Yi Hao. Yi Hao couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief and clap his hands at the same time. Yi Hao glanced at Wang Xingyu, took out a few spirit coins, and threw them at Wang Xingyu. "As for you, bastard, you finally stopped running. Go to hell." Wang Xingyu's eyes were filled with ecstasy when he saw that Yi Hao had stopped running. "I'm afraid you'll be the one to die." Yi Hao sneered when he saw that Wang Xingyu didn't even dodge the spirit coins in order to attack him. Something's not right. At first, Wang Xingyu saw that Yi Hao had only thrown a few spirit coins at him, so he didn't care at all. But now that the spirit coins were close to him, he felt a dangerous aura from the spirit coins. Rumble. But before he could retreat, the spirit coins suddenly exploded. Wang Xingyu was in the center of the spirit coins and naturally received the full impact of the spirit coins. "Black Sword armor, save me." Wang Xingyu immediately activated the spiritual weapon on his body. This was a demon honorable supreme grade spiritual weapon, and it was given to him by the sect leader to save his life. This Black Sword armor could be said to have saved him countless times, and at the same time saved him from danger countless times. But this time, it was destined to be useless. This was because the demon honorable supreme grade armor could at most burst out with the defensive power of a peak demon honorable. It could withstand the attack of a peak demon honorable expert. But the explosive power of Yi Hao's spirit coins was enough to kill any peak demon honorable expert. Moreover, as Wang Xingyu was only a rank 1 demon honorable, he couldn't unleash the power of the armor at all. Therefore, the Black Sword armor was instantly shattered by the explosion of the spirit coins. And Wang Xingyu's internal organs were shattered by the explosion. His body was dripping with blood, and he was only left with half a breath. Black Sword sect will not let you go." Wang Xingyu looked at Yi Hao unwillingly and said intermittently. He was very unwilling. He didn't expect Yi Hao to have such a powerful move, and he was very unwilling to die just like that. After all, with his talent, he was so powerful and dazzling in the Black Sword sect. Moreover, he was valued by the sect leader. It could be said that his future was boundless and his future achievements would be very dazzling. How could he be willing to die just like that? But he had no choice because he could clearly feel that his vitality was dissipating. You are courting death. If you didn't find trouble with me, how could you be like this? Yi Hao looked at Wang Xingyu coldly and then turned to leave. Originally, Yi Hao felt that this medicine valley was sealed, but because of the spirit coins just now, the power of the explosion, it had actually caused a crack to appear on one of the walls. Yi Hao walked to the front of the wall and realized that it was also a stone wall. Upon closer inspection, he could see that there was a stone door on the stone wall. Break! Yi Hao roared. He gathered his strength and attacked the stone door. Crash! Suddenly, countless fragments fell from the stone wall, but the stone door was safe and sound. It's really hard. Looking at the stone door in front of him, which was not damaged at all, Yi Hao couldn't help but start searching. Because in his opinion, this stone door was so hard that there must be a mechanism to open it. Could it be this? Yi Hao searched for a long time before he saw a small protruding stone on the opposite stone wall. Seeing this stone, Yi Hao couldn't help but feel nervous. After all, he wasn't sure if any hidden weapons would shoot out if he touched this stone. Chapter 861. I can't care about that anymore. Yi Hao looked at the Seal Medicine Valley. If he didn't do this, he probably wouldn't have any other way to get out. Yi Hao walked to the side. Of course, he wouldn't be so stupid as to touch that stone with his hand. Yi Hao took out a spirit stone and threw it out. It accurately hit that small stone protruding from the wall. Crack! There was the sound of a switch being hit, and the spirit stone fell to the ground. The stone protruding from the wall had sunk into the wall. Rumble! At this moment, the wall with the stone door suddenly shook violently. The entire stone door was caving in. Yi Hao wasn't surprised to see this. At the same time, he didn't dare to be careless. Whoosh! At this moment, a long arrow suddenly shot out from behind the stone door. Yi Hao, on the other hand, seemed to have been prepared as he immediately dodged to the side. Bang! The long arrow flew past Yi Hao's ear and into the stone wall opposite him. If Yi Hao didn't react in time and was hit by the long arrow, the consequences would be unimaginable. At this moment, the stone door had disappeared and a hole the size of 2 people appeared. Yi Hao waited for a while and saw that there was no movement. Then, he leaped into the hole. This is a martial arts arena? After Yi Hao stepped into the hole and saw the scene in front of him, he couldn't help but be stunned. Because in front of him was a huge martial arts arena. If you want my legacy, then enter the martial arts arena. Only one person can survive until the end. Yi Hao shifted his gaze toward a huge white flag in the middle of the ring. The words were written on the flag in a voluminous manner. Doesn't that mean that I have to kill all those people? Yi Hao didn't expect the owner of this arcane realm to be so cruel. This also meant that if Yi Hao wanted to leave this arcane realm, he had to kill everyone. And if Yi Hao didn't do that, then others would kill him. Yi Hao looked around and saw that there wasn't any exit. Even the hole that he came in from just now had disappeared. This meant that the owner of this arcane realm was definitely an expert in array formations. Although Yi Hao knew array formations in the past, that low-level array formation knowledge was only useful in the infinite land continent. In the ancient demon domain, he could still analyze a simple array formation or two. But for such an advanced array formation like the one in front of him, he was really helpless. This is Wang Xingyu's corpse. At this moment, many figures appeared in the Medicine Valley. These figures' eyes were all on Wang Xingyu's body. Who is it? How can he be so fast and even killed Wang Xingyu's? Look, there's a hole over there. I think the person who killed Wang Xingyu's is inside. Wang's est. Everyone looked at Wang Xingyu's corpse with a solemn expression. Everyone to test to it. How? Could it be that you killed Wang Xingyu? Wang Xingyu was a first-order demon venerable powerhouse. How did you do it? Everyone saw Yi Hao in the ring the moment they passed through the hole. At this moment, everyone looked at Yi Hao like they were looking at a ghost. because they had never taken Yi Hao seriously from the beginning to the end. They thought that Yi Hao had already been killed by Wang Xingyu's subordinates. But Yi Hao was the first to arrive here. That could only mean that Wang Xingyu was killed by Yi Hao. Everyone looked at Yi Hao with solemn faces. After all, Yi Hao could kill Wang Xingyu. That proved that Yi Hao was more powerful than Wang Xingyu. But there were also people who didn't take Yi Hao seriously. Instead, they stared at Yi Hao closely. "Kid, did you find any treasure in that valley? Hand it over if you know what's good for you." Suddenly, someone looked at Yi Hao and asked. Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard that person's words. They all looked at Yi Hao greedily. After all, the valley was empty. They didn't believe that there was nothing in that valley. It was just an empty valley. "There are treasures, but what if I give it to you?" Yi Hao looked at these greedy people. None of them were weak, so he couldn't act rashly. Yi Hao looked at the crowd with a troubled expression. "Kid, don't play tricks. Hand it over first. As for who it belongs to, it's none of your business." Someone said impatiently. "All right then, take it." Yi Hao looked helpless. He then took out a bunch of spirit coins and threw them to the crowd. "Kid, you tricked us." Everyone looked at Yi Hao and was furious when they saw the spirit coins he threw at them. What a joke. The fact that they were the first to arrive here proved that they were strong. All of them were demon sovereigns. Why would they care about a few spirit coins? Moreover, how would they believe that the treasure in the valley was only a few spirit coins? If he hadn't taken them for fools, then what was he doing? "Kid, what are you laughing at?" Everyone looked at Yi Hao with a smile. They looked at Yi Hao in confusion. But what answered them was the bombardment of spirit coins. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Spirit coins continued to explode in the crowd. What Yi Hao didn't expect was that killing these people was easier than killing Wang Xingyu. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a second Order Demon Sovereign. Congratulations to host for obtaining 60,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a third Order Demon Sovereign. Congratulations to host for obtaining 70,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a third Order Demon Sovereign. Congratulations to host for obtaining 70,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a fifth Order Demon Sovereign. Congratulations to host for obtaining 80,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for leveling up. Your current level is second Order Demon Sovereign. Haha, I finally leveled up. Yi Hao was surprised that he had leveled up. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a second Order Demon Sovereign. Congratulations to host for obtaining 60,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to host for killing a fourth Order Demon Sovereign. Congratulations to host for obtaining 70,000 experience points. The system's voice rang a dozen times before it stopped. As for the people who had wanted to threaten him in the beginning, they were all dead. After killing these people, Yi Hao could only sit on the stage helplessly. After all, he couldn't leave. He could only wait for the others to arrive. I wonder if I could draw out the spiritual energy this time. Yi Hao was bored, thinking that he had just broken through. He took out a spirit coin and sat down cross-legged. Chapter 862. There's actually a trace of loosening. Yi Hao was suddenly overjoyed, because previously he was completely helpless against the spiritual energy in the spirit coins and could not draw it out at all. But this time, he discovered that he could actually draw out some of the spiritual energy. Although it was only a trace, it was already an absolute improvement to him. To him, this was also a trace of hope. Dog, did you kill senior brother Wang Xingyu? At this moment, there was a sudden roar. Yi Hao heard the roar and could not help but frown, a trace of dissatisfaction appearing on his face. Yi Hao could only open his eyes helplessly and look at the crowd that appeared. It was Wang Xingyu's followers. I killed him, what do you want? Yi Hao did not care about these people at all. After all, almost all the demon venerables who entered the mystic realm were killed by him. As for the rest of them, they were merely devil emperors. Senior brother, the situation doesn't seem right. Senior brother, look at the corpse on the ground. And this kid can kill senior brother Wong. His strength must be extraordinary. The crowd suddenly looked at the corpse on the ground and began to discuss. A look of regret instantly appeared on one of their faces. Zhou Bo looked at Yi Hao with vigilance. When he saw Yi Hao's calm expression, he couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. After a moment, Zhou Bo opened his mouth and said, "Brother, we have misunderstood. It doesn't matter whether it's a misunderstanding or not." Yi Hao naturally knew what these people were thinking and could not help but wave his hand. "I wonder what you mean by that?" Zhou Bo heard Yi Hao's words and looked at Yi Hao in confusion. That was because he could sense a dangerous aura from Yi Hao. "Prepare for battle," Zhou Bo said in a low voice to the people around him. And because everyone was a disciple of the Black Sword sect, now that Wang Xingyu was dead and Zhou Bo was the strongest, everyone naturally listened to Zhou Bo. Hearing Zhou Bo's whisper, all of them looked at Yi Hao vigilantly, ready to attack Yi Hao at any time. "Look at this white flag. You will naturally understand." Yi Hao saw that the crowd was ready to make a move at any moment. So he ignored them and pointed to the white flag behind him. Because everyone's attention was on Yi Hao, they didn't look at the words on the white flag. When everyone heard what Yi Hao said, they immediately turned their gazes to the white flag. When the crowd saw the words on the white flag, their faces instantly turned pale. "Only one person can live." Zhou Bo looked at the words on the white flag, and his body couldn't help but tremble. As for the rest of the people, they all stood far away, looking at each other with vigilant expressions. At the same time, they also looked around. There's no need to look. There's no exit here. Yi Hao looked at Zhou Bo and the others, each of them looking lucky as he spoke. Yi Hao's words were like a sharp knife that cut through everyone's last shred of hope. "Brothers, even if we die, we must kill this brat." Zhou Bo knew that there was no way out, so he couldn't help but speak. However, everyone could tell that Zhou Bo's voice was low, almost as if he was roaring. "Okay." Hearing Zhou Bo's words, the crowd immediately agreed. "Do you think you're a match for me?" Yi Hao couldn't help but laugh when he saw that the crowd was about to make a move. "Brothers, don't listen to this brat. We have no way out. Even if we die, we can't let this brat have it easy." Zhou Bo shouted and directly attacked Yi Hao. Zhou Bo's strength was indeed not bad. The aura of the peak Demon Emperor cultivation burst out directly. When the rest of the people saw Zhou Bo attacking, they didn't hesitate to attack him. "All of you go to hell." Yi Hao's body moved. He was too lazy to use spirit coins. He wanted to see how strong he was now. Raining sword. Yi Hao used a martial skill. The long sword in his hand stirred up waves of power and attacked the crowd. What strong power! When the crowd sensed Yi Hao's power, their faces turned ghastly pale. Gale steps. Yi Hao suddenly increased his speed, and the long sword in his hand kept slashing at the crowd. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a rank 3 Demon Emperor expert. Congratulations to the host for gaining 3,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a rank 5 Demon Emperor expert. Congratulations to the host for gaining 5,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a rank 7 Demon Emperor expert. Congratulations to the host for gaining 7,000 experience points. The crowd's attacks couldn't cause any harm to Yi Hao at all in the face of Yi Hao. They didn't have any strength to resist at all and fell at Yi Hao's feet. "No, spare me. I don't want to die." Zhou Bo obviously didn't expect Yi Hao's strength to be so much more powerful than he had imagined. Zhou Bo looked at the corpses on the ground. Now, only he and Yi Hao were left. Zhou Bo immediately knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Yi Hao didn't take Zhou Bo's begging seriously at all. After all, showing mercy to the enemy was being cruel to oneself. "Bastard, go to hell." Zhou Bo had been planning to launch a sneak attack on Yi Hao since the beginning. After all, he couldn't defeat Yi Hao with his strength. Therefore, he had to resort to this method. After all, only one person could survive in this place. He had to take the risk and kill Yi Hao even if he had to risk his life. But who would have thought that Yi Hao would be on guard against his sneak attack? Seeing Zhou Bo rushing towards him with a dagger in his hand, Yi Hao couldn't help but snort coldly. You're courting death. Raining sword. Yi Hao directly pierced Zhou Bo's throat with his sword. Zhou Bo was unwilling to give up. He didn't expect that a sneak attack on Yi Hao would be discovered by Yi Hao in advance. Idiot! Yi Hao kicked Zhou Bo away. After all, with his rich combat experience, how could he not deal with such a small sneak attack? Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a peak demon emperor expert. Congratulations to the host for gaining 10,000 experience points. What's going on here? Right after Yi Hao killed Zhou Bo, another figure appeared in this place. As soon as this person appeared, he saw the corpses all over the ground. Then, he saw Yi Hao, who was holding a long sword. Without saying anything, he directly attacked Yi Hao. After all, meeting in such an environment meant that all the people one met were enemies. Yi Hao didn't expect this person to be so quick. This made him happy. After all, this saved him a lot of effort. After this person appeared, many more people appeared one after another. These people couldn't help but be shocked when they saw the corpses on the ground. Then, they looked at the battle and looked at Bai Qi. Everyone realized that Yi Hao was quite strong. Therefore, Yi Hao became the target of everyone's attacks in an instant. Kid, no matter how strong you are, you can't withstand the attacks of so many people. This kid is too strong. Let's work harder and kill him first. If we don't kill him first, none of us will have any hope of getting out alive. Everyone shouted as they attacked. Chapter 863. What does this kid mean? Does he still have a backup plan? Brothers, don't bother about him. If we don't kill him, we won't have a chance to live. Let's kill him first. That's right, kill him. Only people like us will have a chance to live. When the crowd heard Yi Hao's words, many of them had a trace of fear. However, when they thought of how powerful Yi Hao was, if they didn't kill Yi Hao, they would definitely die. Thus, everyone unleashed all of their abilities in order to kill Yi Hao. 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire. Yi Hao summoned the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire directly. What is that? Could it be a mystical fire? No, the mystical fire is extremely powerful. Kill him quickly. When the crowd saw the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire, many of them knew that it wouldn't be easy to deal with it. However, their reaction was destined to be one step too late. When the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire appeared, it turned into a fireball and flew towards the crowd. In the blink of an eye, the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire landed on the crowd. Oh no, it's burning me. No, let me go. Save me. Only when the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire landed on their bodies did they realize how powerful the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire was. Everyone couldn't help but use their martial strength to resist the corrosion of the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire. One by one, they begged for mercy, but it was to no avail. In a short moment, everyone was buried under the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing a Third Order Demon Emperor. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 3,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing a Third Order Demon Emperor. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 3,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing a Fifth Order Demon Emperor. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 5,000 experience points. As the crowd turned into ashes, the system prompt sounded in Yi Hao's mind. Rumble. Just when everyone was dead, the white flag in the middle of the arena suddenly fell towards the ground. Yi Hao immediately looked at this scene with vigilance. Just as the flag disappeared, a stone platform suddenly rose up from the side of the flag. Yi Hao looked at the stone platform and immediately walked over. He found a jade slip and a ring on it. Yi Hao immediately picked up the jade slip and checked it. Congratulations, fated person. You become the Senpo's successor. I've studied martial arts thoroughly all my life, but I was framed by my enemy as soon as I became a spiritualist, causing me to be heavily injured and on the verge of death. But in my life, I also have a certain level of attainment in formations and alchemy. I don't want these things to disappear for nothing. So this old man hopes that you can inherit them. My things are all in the spatial ring, and I'll give them to you now. Of course, if you want to inherit my things, it won't be that easy. First, you have to leave the secret realm. This jade slip contains the method to leave the secret realm. You have to study it thoroughly, otherwise, you won't be able to leave. Immediately, some information appeared in Yi Hao's mind. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining the 9 turns confusion formation. Do you wish to comprehend it? Yes. Hearing the system prompt, Yi Hao immediately replied. Following that, information about the 9 turns confusion formation appeared in Yi Hao's mind. So the exit is here. Because he had comprehended the 9 turns confusion formation, Yi Hao was temporarily unable to set it up. However, he could still see the exit of the 9 turns confusion formation with a single glance. And this exit, it was at the location of the stone platform. Open for me. A smile appeared on Yi Hao's face as he walked to the side of the stone platform and directly punched it. Following that, a dazzling light flashed on the stone platform. When Yi Hao opened his eyes and looked again, he discovered that he had already appeared in the Emperor Fallen Devil Forest. And the place he was standing at was the entrance to the secret realm. Yi Hao couldn't help but sigh at the power of the 9 turns confusion formation. At the same time, he admired the Senpo's attainments in array formations. Just by setting up the formation underground, he could make a demon venerable expert feel as if he was inside. This was enough to make him feel admiration. If it were anyone else, even if they knew a little about array formations, it wouldn't be so easy for them to come out of the 9 turns confusion formation. After all, the 9 turns confusion formation was too mysterious. Normal people would want to understand the information left in the jade slip by the Senpo. It would be impossible to figure out the exit of the 9 turns confusion formation without a year or so. In fact, this was also the Senpo's test to see if his successor had the talent to become an array inscriber. After all, if he couldn't even find the exit of the 9 turns confusion formation, it could only mean that this person's talent in inscribing arrays was average. The Senpo naturally didn't want to see his inheritance humiliated. Therefore, those who couldn't find the exit would be trapped in the secret realm, waiting for the fated person below to continue entering. But who asked Yi Hao to have the system, such a heaven-defying existence? Just by reading the information of the 9 turns confusion formation in the jade slip once, he could completely comprehend the 9 turns confusion formation. If the Senpo were to find out about this, he would probably be shocked. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for completing the exploration of the Senpo's secret realm. Congratulations to the host for increasing the level reward by 1. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a permanent summoning quota for the Demon Emperor. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for reaching level 3 Demon Emperor. Haha, another level up. Yi Hao couldn't help but be delighted when he heard the notification that he had completed the mission. What does this kid mean? Does he have a backup plan? Brothers, don't bother about him. If we don't kill him, we won't have a chance to live. Kill him first. That's right, kill him. Only then will we have a chance to live. When the crowd heard Yi Hao's words, many of them showed a trace of fear. But when they thought of how powerful Yi Hao was, if they didn't kill Yi Hao, they would definitely die. Thus, everyone unleashed all of their abilities in order to kill Yi Hao. 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire. Yi Hao directly summoned the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire. What is this? Could this be a strange fire? No, the strange fire is incomparably powerful. Quickly kill him. When the crowd saw the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire appear, many of them knew that the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire was not easy to deal with. But when the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire appeared, it turned into fireballs and flew towards the crowd. In the blink of an eye, the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire landed on the crowd. Ah, no, it's burning me to death. No, let me go. Ah, save me. Only when the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire landed on their bodies did they realize how powerful the 10,000 Beast Spiritual Fire was. Everyone couldn't help but circulate their martial power to resist the corrosion of the 10,000 beasts' spiritual fire, but it was useless. In a short moment, everyone was buried under the 10,000 beasts' spiritual fire. Chapter 864. Yi Hao glared angrily at the newcomer. It was a plump middle-aged man. At this moment, a powerful force pressed down on Yi Hao's body. The middle-aged man stood in front of Yi Hao and asked, "Brat, did you come out from the buried king's secret territory?" Song Yuanzheng was a third-order demon emperor. He was fortunate enough to comprehend spiritual energy and become a true demon emperor. Although he had comprehended spiritual energy, it was extremely difficult to transform his dantian into a spiritual palace and possess spiritual energy. Moreover, he had no cultivation technique. Therefore, it was extremely difficult for him to continue to step into the Atman body realm. Who knew that the heavens would bless him and let him know about the buried king's secret territory? When he rushed over, the buried king's secret territory had already closed. However, he didn't leave. Instead, he chose to stay and wait for the rabbit to appear. Who would have thought that Yi Hao would come? So what if I am, and so what if I am not? Yi Hao looked at Song Yuanzheng and prepared to summon Sun Shangxiang. Brat, don't court death. If you know what's good for you, hand over all the treasures you obtained. Song Yuanzheng pressed down on Yi Hao with an even stronger force. At this moment, Song Yuanzheng did not put Yi Hao in his eyes at all. After all, Yi Hao's cultivation was only a third-order demon emperor. In his eyes, it was easier than crushing an ant. However, he was also shocked. He did not expect that Yi Hao, a mere third-order demon emperor, could come out from the buried king's secret territory. Kill him for me, Yi Hao suddenly said. What did you say? Song Yuanzheng was stunned when he heard Yi Hao's words. How dare you hurt my lord? You're really courting death. Suddenly, Song Yuanzheng heard a woman's voice behind him. When Song Yuanzheng heard this voice, his heart skipped a beat. He did not notice that there was someone behind him. Let me catch you first. When Song Yuanzheng heard Sun Shangxiang shouting Yi Hao's name, he immediately stretched out his hand to grab Yi Hao. Dog thief, you dare. Sun Shangxiang did not expect that Song Yuanzheng would grab towards Yi Hao and could not help shouting anxiously. Gale steps. Yi Hao also did not expect that Song Yuanzheng was actually so smart, knowing to capture the ringleader first. If he was caught by Song Yuanzheng, Sun Shangxiang would definitely not dare to make a move. Yi Hao understood that he absolutely could not be caught by Song Yuanzheng. Hence, Yi Hao decided to use wind steps. Of course, his speed was comparable to a third-order demon venerable. But compared to a third-order demon emperor's speed, it was akin to the speed of turtle. 10,000 beasts, spirit, fire. Heavenly Een spirit. Yi Hao immediately summoned the 10,000 beast spirit fire and smashed it at Song Yuanzheng. Deviant flame. Song Yuanzheng did not expect Yi Hao to possess a deviant flame. His expression immediately changed. As a demon emperor, he naturally knew how powerful deviant flames were. However, he also knew that although the heavenly flame was powerful, the power it unleashed was closely related to its master. Song Yuanzheng looked at Yi Hao's strength. He was merely a third-order devil emperor. Hence, although he was wary of the deviant flame, he did not put it in his eyes. After all, compared to the menacing Sun Shangxiang behind him, he could still tell which was more important. Even if he suffered serious injuries, he had to capture Yi Hao. What the hell is this? Although Song Yuanzheng ignored the exceptional flame, when he looked at the heavenly Een spirit behind the exceptional flame, he actually sensed a dangerous aura coming from it. I don't care anymore. Song Yuanzheng gritted his teeth and decided to ignore the heavenly Een spirit. However, the facts prove that Song Yuanzheng was absolutely wrong. One must know that the heavenly Een spirit's strength was comparable to a demon emperor. Although the heavenly Een spirit's strength was not as strong as a third-order demon emperor, it could easily stop Song Yuanzheng. What the hell is this? Song Yuanzheng was hit by the heavenly Een spirit. His body was injured, and he couldn't help but scream. Die for me! Song Yuanzheng was furious. He slashed at the heavenly Yin spirit with his saber. A powerful force crushed the heavenly Yin spirit. Although the heavenly Yin spirit did not have a physical body, it suffered such a powerful attack. It did not feel good. The heavenly Yin spirit was sent flying backward. At the same time, its color dimmed and it showed signs of collapsing. Bastard! Where are you running to? Song Yuanzheng moved quickly and was about to catch Yi Hao. However, because he attacked the heavenly Yin spirit, he was delayed for a while. Sun Shangxiang had already caught up with him. How dare you hurt my master? You're courting death. Sun Shangxiang had a bow, an arrow on her waist. However, she could not use it at such a close distance. Moreover, Song Yuanzheng was so close to Yi Hao. If she hurt Yi Hao, it would be too late for regrets. Therefore, Sun Shangxiang could only use her long sword to stab at Song Yuanzheng's back. Although it was a simple stab, it contained the power of a fiend emperor powerhouse. Even Song Yuanzheng sensed the terrifying power behind him. Song Yuanzheng knew that Sun Shangxiang's strength was definitely above his. Just as Song Yuanzheng was about to grab Yi Hao, his body suddenly stopped. Song Yuanzheng could not help but groan as he immediately lowered his head to look at his chest. He saw the cold tip of a sword appear on his chest. Who the hell are you? I can't accept this. Song Yuanzheng's entire body was weak. However, he stared at Yi Hao and roared angrily. He originally thought that discovering the Tsinpo mystic realm was an opportunity for him to rise. However, he did not expect to meet Yi Hao. It was one thing to meet Yi Hao, but the main thing was, how could Yi Hao have such a powerful subordinate? Song Yuanzheng knew that he had kicked an iron plate this time. However, no matter how many times there was no way to start over. Song Yuanzheng died unwillingly as his corpse fell to the ground. Sigh, what a pity! Yi Hao looked at Song Yuanzheng's corpse and could not help but feel a little regretful. After all, this was a demon emperor-level powerhouse. He would definitely gain a lot of experience. However, Yi Hao also knew that time was tight just now. Sun Shangxiang could only do that. If he had not killed Song Yuanzheng in time, the consequences would have been very serious. Sun Shangxiang knelt on the ground valiantly and said respectfully to Yi Hao, "Your subordinate greets the Lord. Your subordinate came late to save you. Please punish me. Get up. I still have to thank you for saving my life." Yi Hao looked at Sun Shangxiang kneeling on the ground and could not help but say, "Thank you, Lord." After receiving Yi Hao's order, Sun Shangxiang immediately stood up and stood beside Yi Hao. "Let's go. Let's leave this place first." Yi Hao walked to Song Yuanzheng's side and at the same time took off Song Yuanzheng's interspatial ring. After all, Song Yuanzheng was a demon emperor-level powerhouse. No matter how strong he was, he still had some things from before. Chapter 865. Just as Yi Hao finished speaking, Sun Shangxiang's voice sounded, "My lord, I can feel that there are several powerful auras rushing over here. Let's leave quickly." Yi Hao knew that those who could make Sun Shangxiang say that they were powerful were at least demon overlords and above. After receiving Yi Hao's order, the two of them quickly left. As for the heavenly Yin spirit, it returned to Yi Hao's body to recuperate. Actually, the heavenly Yin spirit was also very depressed at this moment. After all, it had just awakened not long ago. Just when it could show off its fist, it was almost seriously injured by Song Yuanzheng. "Sun Shangxiang, help me find demonic beasts. I want to hunt them." Yi Hao ordered Sun Shangxiang after they were far away from the Tsinpo's secret realm. After all, with Sun Shangxiang's peak demon overlord cultivation, it would be much easier for him to find demonic beasts. Since he had come to the Emperor Fall Demon Forest, there was no need to return so early. He wanted to make use of the remaining time to improve his cultivation. Yi Hao and Sun Shangxiang were walking quickly in the Emperor Fall Demon Forest when Sun Shangxiang suddenly said, "My lord, there is a peak demon overlord demonic beast in front." Peak demon, overlord, demonic beast? Forget it. No matter how small a fly is, it's still meat. Come, let's go. Originally, Yi Hao was not interested in demon, overlord, demonic beasts. After all, even if he killed a peak demon, overlord, demonic beast, he wouldn't be able to gain much experience. But since this demonic beast had delivered itself to his door, he didn't want to waste it. The two of them didn't walk far before they saw a hyena-shaped demonic beast eating the corpse of a demonic beast. The appearance of Yi Hao and Sun Shangxiang naturally attracted the hyena's attention. The hyena stopped and stared at the two of them. Saliva actually flowed out of its mouth. 10,000 beast spirit fire. Although the hyena's eyes were fierce, Yi Hao was too lazy to make a move. He directly summoned the 10,000 beast spirit fire. Roar! When the hyena saw the 10,000 beast spirit fire, its eyes were filled with fear. Then, it let out a low roar of fear. The hyena magical beast was not confident at all. When it saw the 10,000 beast spirit fire, it turned around and tried to escape. Trying to escape? It won't be that easy. Yi Hao couldn't help but sneer when he saw how fast the magical beasts were escaping. And under his control, the 10,000 beast spirit fire continued to chase after the demonic beast. Boom! Suddenly, the 10,000 beast spirit fire sped up and smashed onto the body of the demonic beast. The demonic beast was instantly engulfed by the flames. Ding dong! Congratulations to host for killing a demonic emperor pinnacle demonic beast. Congratulations to host for gaining 10,000 experience points. Let's go. Let's continue. With this appetizer, Yi Hao continued to walk forward. Sun Shangxiang followed closely behind Yi Hao, protecting Yi Hao's safety while helping Yi Hao search for magical beasts. My lord, there's a demonic beast at the pinnacle of the Demon Emperor realm in front of us. My lord, there's a Class 1 demonic emperor demonic beast in front. My lord, there's a Class 2 demonic emperor demonic beast in front. Sun Shangxiang continued to speak. But from the beginning to the end, Sun Shangxiang did not make a move again. Yi Hao dealt with them all by himself. This was also what Yi Hao had requested. He just happened to be using these magical beasts to temper himself. Unknowingly, a day passed by quickly. And after a day, many demonic emperor demonic beasts were killed, but the number of demonic emperor demonic beasts was pitifully small. Could it be that I haven't gone deep enough into the supreme demon forest? Yi Hao couldn't help but analyze. It seems that I have to go deeper tomorrow. After all, he couldn't get much experience points from killing demonic emperor demonic beasts. In his opinion, it was simply a waste of time. If he kept killing demonic emperor demonic beasts like this, then he really didn't know how long it would take for him to level up. At the same time, in the bedroom of Tianyuan Kingdom's second princess. How is it? How's the investigation? The second princess sat on a chair, her eyes slightly closed as she enjoyed the palace maid's massage. At the same time, she opened her mouth and asked. At the feet of the second princess, there was a guard kneeling at this moment. The guard looked at the second princess and answered carefully. Reporting to Your Highness Second Princess, according to reliable news, that kid went to the Supreme Demon Forest. Supreme Demon Forest? What's he doing there? Is he courting death? The second princess frowned, her tone carrying some puzzlement. This subordinate really doesn't know. The guard looked troubled. Forget it, get lost. A trace of dissatisfaction appeared in the second princess's heart as she looked at the guard. Yes. When the guard heard the second princess's words, he immediately left respectfully. What the hell did this dog go to the Supreme Demon Forest for? Although the guard had left, the second princess did not interrupt him in the slightest. I don't know if that dog going to the Supreme Demon Forest has anything to do with that wretched girl. The second princess couldn't help but think of Zhao Ling. No matter what he went to do, I must not let that kid come back alive. The second princess suddenly opened her eyes, revealing killing intent. Father, tell me, what did that Yi Hao go to do? I heard that Yi Hao went to the Supreme Demon Forest. This can't be true, right? Imperial Father, I beg you, please tell me. In Emperor Tianyuan's bedchamber, Zhao Ling Er's anxious voice constantly sounded. One had to know that during the period of time that Yi Hao had left, it was as if she had been locked up in the palace. And this order was issued by Emperor Tian Yuan, so without Emperor Tianyuan's order, she couldn't leave the palace at all. However, she had also heard some news, and that was that Yi Hao might have gone to the Supreme Demon Forest. She really couldn't understand why Yi Hao went to the Supreme Demon Forest. This made her heart filled with worry for Yi Hao. So he had no choice but to delay Emperor Tianyuan. If you have nothing else, go back and prepare for the martial arts competition in a few days. Emperor Tianyuan glanced at Zhao Ling, and said. This was because he knew Zhao Ling, Er's personality very well. If he told Zhao Ling, that Yi Hao had gone to the Supreme Demon Forest, Zhao Ling, would definitely disregard everything and look for Yi Hao. Therefore, for the sake of Zhao Ling, Er's safety, he could only keep his mouth shut about anything related to Yi Hao. Imperial Father, please tell me. Go back first. After a while, you'll naturally know. Father, all right, I want to rest. You may leave. Zhao Ling wanted to say something, but seeing Emperor Tianyuan waving his hand, he could only turn around and leave helplessly. He mustn't go to the Supreme Demon Forest. Nothing must happen to him. Zhao Ling, prayed in his mind as he walked back to the bedchamber. Comfortable. After waking up in the morning, Yi Hao couldn't help but stretch. Master, you're awake. Seeing that Yi Hao was awake, Sun Shangxiang immediately greeted him. Get ready to continue hunting magical beasts. Chapter 866. Duan Tianshan's eyes lit up as he stared at Sun Shangxiang. He had been in the Supreme Demon Forest for 2 or 3 months now. Given his lustful nature, this was simply torture for him. If it hadn't been for the opportunity to break through, he wouldn't have stayed in this godforsaken place. However, what he hadn't expected was that the heavens seemed to be looking after him. They knew that he needed a woman, so they had immediately sent him a beautiful woman. As Duan Tianshan sized up Sun Shangxiang, his heart burned even hotter. He couldn't wait to pounce on Sun Shangxiang. It seems like the heavens aren't unkind to me. They've sent me such a beautiful woman. Given Duan Tianshan standards, ordinary women naturally wouldn't catch his eye. However, when he looked at Sun Shangxiang, he realized that she was definitely one of the best women he had ever seen. Duan Tianshan stared at Sun Shangxiang so infatuatedly that he actually swallowed his saliva. If you dare look around again, I will gouge your eyes out, Sun Shangxiang said icily as she glared at Duan Tianshan in disgust. Oh, you have quite a fiery temper. Do you know who I am? Duan Tianshan didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled. He believed that as long as he revealed his identity, Sun Shangxiang would definitely take the initiative to give herself to him. He had done this many times in the past, and all those women had obediently thrown themselves into his arms. I don't want to know who you are. If you don't want to die, scram. Sun Shangxiang was afraid that Duan Tianshan would disturb Yi Hao's mood, so her voice became even colder. The more fiery your temper, the more I like it. I am the 3rd prince of the Broken Dynasty. Duan Tianshan smiled as he revealed his identity. Then, he squinted at Sun Shangxiang. If Sun Shangxiang heard his identity, her attitude would definitely change immediately. Scram! What surprised him was that Sun Shangxiang was not moved by his identity at all. She said impatiently, refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit. Duan Tianshan did not expect Sun Shangxiang to not give him any face. Men, grab this woman and throw that brat out. Duan Tianshan shouted. Yes, your highness, the 3rd prince. The guards brought by Duan Tianshan immediately rushed towards Sun Shangxiang. It was as if they were already used to this kind of thing, and it was a piece of cake for them. It was obvious that they had done this a lot. A middle-aged man behind Duan Tianshan shook his head. He had been with the Duan Tianshan for a long time, and he was satisfied with everything about the Duan Tianshan. His talent was not bad, and it was so deep that it was very possible for him to ascend the throne. However, Duan Tianqian's only flaw was that he was very lecherous, especially when he saw a woman. Duan Tianqian had done this kind of thing many times in the Duan Tianqian dynasty. Duan Tianqian had ravaged many of the beautiful young ladies in the Duan Tianqian dynasty, as well as the maidservants in the palace and the daughters of the ministers. However, Duan Tianqian's identity was there, so no one could do anything to him. However, the demon forest of the fallen emperor was no longer within the borders of the Duan Tianqian dynasty. Yi Hao had not expected that Duan Tianqian would still be so unscrupulous. However, when he first saw Sun Shangxiang, he couldn't help but marvel at Sun Shangxiang's beauty. Even he couldn't help but take a few more glances. However, he couldn't help but shake his head. He knew that it wouldn't be long before Sun Shangxiang would be ravaged by Duan Tianqian. Kill them. Yi Hao hadn't expected that someone would actually target his subordinates. When Yi Hao saw Duan Tianqian's appearance, he knew that he wasn't a good person. Therefore, Yi Hao wouldn't show any mercy to such a person. Yes, master. Sun Shangxiang immediately moved and attacked Duan Tianqian's subordinates when he heard Yi Hao's words. Master, Duan Tianqian couldn't help but look at Yi Hao when he heard Sun Shangxiang's words. Why is she one of your people? If you know what's good for you, give this woman to me. Who knows? I might even spare your life. Bang, bang, bang. However, Yi Hao didn't answer him. What answered him was a series of banging sounds. You bastards, be gentle. Don't hurt my beauty. Duan Tianqian couldn't help but frown in dissatisfaction. Then, Duan Tianqian turned his head to look. His gaze froze. Duan Tianqian couldn't help but take a step back. His subordinates were all lying on the ground. He couldn't see if they were still breathing. Quick, take her down. Duan Tianqian saw that his subordinates were all killed by Sun Shangxiang. Naturally, he knew that Sun Shangxiang was extraordinary. Duan Tianqian immediately shouted at the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man looked at Sun Shangxiang with a serious expression. The disdain on his face had completely disappeared. He didn't look down on Sun Shangxiang's attack. He had been paying attention to Duan Tianqian all this time. After all, his mission was to ensure that Duan Tianqian wouldn't be harmed. However, Sun Shangxiang had killed those people in a short period of time. This showed that Sun Shangxiang was extraordinary. After all, Duan Tianqian was a prince. The strength of his guards was naturally extraordinary. Half of those guards were in the Devil Emperor realm, and the other half were in the Devil Venerable realm. Could it be that she's a Devil Emperor? Impossible. The middle-aged man looked at Sun Shangxiang and couldn't help but guess in his heart. Then he shook his head. He really couldn't believe that Sun Shangxiang was a Devil Emperor. Miss, don't you think you're a little too heavy-handed? The middle-aged man looked at Sun Shangxiang and said, Humph, killing them is already too easy for them. Sun Shangxiang snorted coldly. You'd better surrender obediently. Otherwise, when I take action, you'll suffer. The middle-aged man couldn't help but threaten her. And you, your subordinates killed His Highness's subordinates. How should we settle this matter? Then, the middle-aged man looked at Yi Hao. This was because he had also heard that Sun Shangxiang dared to call Yi Hao Lord. That meant that Sun Shangxiang was Yi Hao's subordinate. Then you can go down with them. When he heard the middle-aged man's words, Yi Hao couldn't help but look at Sun Shangxiang. Kill him. You're really overestimating yourself. You want me to take action? You're courting death. Seeing that Yi Hao didn't know what was good for him, the middle-aged man couldn't help but be angry. The middle-aged man directly released his cultivation realm. The powerful aura of a third-order Devil Emperor instantly filled the entire space and pressed down on Sun Shangxiang and Yi Hao. Ignorant fools, kneel down. The middle-aged man shouted angrily. He wanted to use the power of his aura to subdue Yi Hao and Sun Shangxiang. In his opinion, Yi Hao and Sun Shangxiang didn't need him to take action. Just the two of them were enough. Chapter 867. Courting Death. When Sun Shangxiang saw the middle-aged man release his power, he couldn't help but shout coldly. At the same time, Sun Shangxiang also released his aura. Boom! Sun Shangxiang's peak demon overlord aura instantly defeated the middle-aged man's power. And the middle-aged man didn't react at all, and his entire body flew out. Demon, peak demon overlord, how is this possible? The middle-aged man stood up from the ground and looked at Sun Shangxiang's aura. There was absolutely no mistake. The middle-aged man's face was filled with shock, and at the same time, his eyes were filled with disbelief. He couldn't believe that Sun Shangxiang could have peak demon overlord cultivation. That was peak demon overlord cultivation. Killing him was simply like playing around. Go to hell. Sun Shangxiang directly slapped a palm towards Duan Tianchen. Duan Tianchen also didn't expect that Sun Shangxiang was actually a demon overlord powerhouse. If he had known earlier, he definitely wouldn't have done so. But at this moment, seeing that Sun Shangxiang was about to make a move, he immediately said anxiously, "You dare to kill me. I'm the third prince of Broken Dynasty. If you kill me, you'll be making an enemy of the entire Broken Dynasty." Sun Shangxiang couldn't help but stop and look at Yi Hao. After all, he was also afraid that killing Duan Tianchen would bring trouble to Yi Hao. Kill him. Since he dared to provoke him, Yi Hao didn't care whether Duan Tianchen was a prince or not. You dare! When Duan Tianchen heard Yi Hao's words, he immediately became anxious. But Sun Shangxiang's aura pressed down on his body, making him unable to move at all. Save me! Duan Tianchen anxiously looked at the middle-aged man. When the middle-aged man saw this scene, he was also extremely anxious in his heart. After all, if Duan Tianchen died, then he would definitely not be able to bear the consequences. However, Sun Shangxiang was so strong, and his strength was above him. Even if he fought, he would not be a match for Sun Shangxiang. No, the third prince can't die in vain. I can't die in vain. Run. The middle-aged man made up his mind and turned around to flee. The middle-aged man was using all his strength. At the same time, he was constantly changing his escape route. After all, he was afraid that Yi Hao and Sun Shangxiang would catch up to him. Bastard, I'm going to wipe out your entire family. Duan Tianchen obviously didn't expect that the middle-aged man would abandon him. He turned around and fled. Duan Tianchen's face turned ashen as he cursed loudly. Chase after him. Yi Hao immediately ordered Sun Shangxiang when he saw that the middle-aged man was about to escape. After all, nurturing a tiger would only invite calamity. To cut the grass, one must remove the roots. He could not let the tiger return to the mountain and wait for the middle-aged man to seek revenge. Yes. After receiving Yi Hao's order, Sun Shangxiang immediately gave up attacking Duan Tianchen and chased after the middle-aged man. Seeing that Sun Shangxiang had left, Duan Tianchen was stunned for a moment. Then he burst into laughter. He was afraid of Sun Shangxiang. If he was not mistaken, Yi Hao's cultivation was only at the 3rd level of the Demon Emperor. His cultivation was at the 4th level of the Demon Emperor. Therefore, he didn't need to take Yi Hao seriously at all. Bastard, you asked for it. Duan Tianchen was furious when he thought of how he was frightened by Sun Shangxiang just now. Duan Tianchen clenched his fist and punched Yi Hao's face. Duan Tianchen's face was ferocious. He wanted to smash Yi Hao's head directly and let Yi Hao know how serious the consequences of provoking him were. Let me see how strong you are. Yi Hao was excited when he saw Duan Tianchen's attack. He was at the 3rd level of the Demon Emperor, which corresponded to the strength of the 3rd level of the Demon Emperor. Duan Tianchen's cultivation was at the 4th level of the Demon Emperor. He wanted to know the difference between his strength and Duan Tianchen's. Overconfident trash. Duan Tianchen didn't expect that Yi Hao would be so reckless and dare to fight him head-on. I'll let you know what it means to be strong. Duan Tianchen gritted his teeth and was about to kill Yi Hao with a punch. Bang! In an instant, their fists collided. It looked like a simple punch, but a powerful force immediately spread in all directions. Several giant trees were instantly shattered into pieces by the impact of this power. Yi Hao couldn't help but retreat more than 10 steps, and a trace of redness appeared on his face. There is still a gap. Yi Hao felt the impact of Duan Tianquan's power, which made him retreat more than 10 steps before he could stabilize his body. Duan Tianquan, on the other hand, only took 3 steps back. Yi Hao was very dissatisfied with this. However, Duan Tianquan was completely shocked at this moment. How can he be at the 3rd level of the Demon Emperor? One must know that he also cultivated step by step from the Demon Emperor realm to the present. He naturally knew what the Demon Emperor realm's cultivation was like. However, he was sure that Yi Hao's real strength was definitely not just at the 3rd level of the Demon Emperor realm. After all, he was a 4th level Demon Emperor. With his strength, it was almost impossible to find a match among the 4th level Demon Emperors. However, Yi Hao only retreated more than 10 steps, and he even took 3 steps back. How could he not be shocked? No matter what, you have to die. Although he was shocked by Yi Hao's strength, Duan Tianquan could also see that Yi Hao's strength was not as good as his. Therefore, he had to kill Yi Hao as soon as possible and then turn around and run away. After all, he was always worried about when Sun Shangxiang would come back. One must know that with Sun Shangxiang's peak Demon Emperor cultivation, if he suddenly came back, he would not be able to escape even if he had wings. Bastard, go to hell. Thinking of this, Duan Tianquan attacked Yi Hao again. Trash, go to hell. Thinking that he was about to kill Yi Hao, Duan Tianquan's face showed excitement, and at the same time, he looked at Yi Hao mockingly. Yi Hao looked at Duan Tianquan with a face full of excitement and couldn't help but shake his head. I won't play with you anymore. Since Yi Hao knew the difference between him and a 4th level Demon Emperor, he was no longer interested. 10,000 Beast Spirit Fire. Yi Hao directly summoned the 10,000 Beast Spirit Fire and threw it at Duan Tianquan. What is this? Strange fire? Just as Duan Tianquan was about to rush in front of Yi Hao, he suddenly saw the fire in front of him, and his face suddenly changed. How could you have such a thing? As a prince, he had some understanding of strange fires. Naturally, he also knew how powerful strange fires were. No, bastard, stop! Duan Tianquan shouted loudly, and at the same time, desperately dodged. I don't want to die. You can't kill me. Duan Tianquan's face was full of fear, and his voice was full of unwillingness. After all, he was a prince. How could he be willing to die here? Yi Hao ignored Duan Tianquan's shout, and instead controlled the 10,000 Beast Spirit Fire and threw it at Duan Tianquan. Duan Tianquan felt that the 10,000 Beast Spirit Fire was getting closer and closer to him, and he could feel the scorching aura of the 10,000 Beast Spirit Fire. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.